I've done so many videos. I think we're deep like 200 different races, maybe even more. Being lucky enough to travel the world and to the States.
Yeah.
Bro, like we're all the same.
Yeah.
We're all the same. Like, and especially if you're talking about a passion. In the UK, on the street, I don't think there's a lot of cars running faster than a built motor 992 right now. The Porsches are the street kings out there. Never driven a boosted Honda, and I hopped into this car and it was stripped out and everything. Bro, when that boost hit and the steering wheel was doing that, bro, I originally set out to build like a 500, 600 brake horsepower car, and I kept wanting more. I want people to know, when they watch my channel, when they see me run a time, if you say anything about your quicker, just know I'll run this time on you. Like, you know what I mean? I don't have to be on the track. That's what I want it to be. I want it to just know that anything I'm running right now, you can get it like that.
Welcome back to another episode of the Street Alpha Podcast. I'm your host, Tukes, and today we got my guy, Jamie, all the way from the UK.
Let's go, bro.
So I didn't even know you were going to be out here, bro. I was at FL2K this past weekend, which was a fantastic event. Loved that event. And I ended up walking down the staging lanes and I saw you there and I was like, I had no idea you were even still here.
Do you know what? It's quite random. And a lot of people said the same thing. I think when they see me all the way from England, out in a place that I shouldn't be, it's a surprise for everyone. But, you know, it was a welcome surprise to see you because we spent quite a bit of time together at TX2K. I think it was last year.
Yeah, we were talking for quite a while, actually.
For a while.
Same time this time, too. Same thing.
100%. Good people, innit?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Like to communicate.
So I reached out to you, obviously. And I didn't want to bother you because I'm like, I know you do features. So I was like, I didn't want to just like intrude on what you had going on.
Yeah.
So I figured, you know what? I'm not going to bother asking him. But I was like, you know what? It's worth a shot.
Bro, when I saw the message come through, I was like, hell yeah. Listen, we've been very busy.
Yeah, yeah.
Listen, when Street Alpha contacts you, bro, you got to make that time. Like, you know what I mean? So here we are.
Nah, so I appreciate you for doing this and also, you know, for the Airbnb. We're in an Airbnb right now for where you're staying at.
Yeah.
Normally you guys see us in garages and so on, but I think as of the last episode, we were in the tower at FL2K. So, you know, honestly, you guys don't really care about locations too much anymore, which is pretty cool. So there's a lot to unpack with, you know, what you do and who you are, and also about the UK car scene and car culture as a whole, right? So I would say you've been doing this for about, I don't know, maybe 7-8 years.
Yeah. About 7.5 years.
Yeah. So what even made you want to get into YouTube? Like, were you a mechanic before that? Like, what was
I was actually a mechanic, but a HGV mechanic. So I used to work for London Fire Brigade, fixing fire engines. And although I wasn't at that company when I first started, I'd pretty much been on the tools for 16 years at the time where I started or maybe not 16 years. There was a slight crossover period.
Okay.
But I'd been on the tools for a long time. And the thing that got me started with YouTube is basically, so I used to follow a YouTuber called Living Life Fast. And at the time, I want to say he had about 30,000 subscribers.
Okay.
And I didn't watch a lot of YouTube because 7.5 years ago, I don't know, man, social media has grown crazy quick, right? So the way we consume it now potentially weren't the way we were consuming it back then. Definitely wasn't the way I was. I love cars, always love cars. So I stumbled across this guy, started watching his content, thought it was really cool. He'd done features on cars. And one day I bumped into him. And it was at AMG owners meet. I think it was New Year's Eve or something like that at a Mercedes-Benz, like a dealership. And I was like, hey, I've got a Mercedes A45. Have you ever featured one? He was like, no. I think I had like a tuning box on it or something like that. Like, you know what I mean? And he was like, let's get it done. So we done one. I loved the process.
Yeah.
You know, it was cool seeing what goes on behind the scenes, what it takes to make a video like that. And of course, you're around petrol head people and you're driving your car. And yeah, I loved it. And basically, when it comes to the end of the video, putting out your first video, you're always quite nervous to see how people will react to you as a person.
Yeah.
Because you don't know who's going to be watching, right?
Exactly,
and so like you're quite worried. And I'm sure there were some negative comments, but I saw a lot of positive comments. So I was actually quite happy with that. And I remember speaking to a guy, his name's Ricky from Living Life Fast after, and just in passing, he said something along the lines of, you should start YouTube. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I should. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and it was just a passing comment that you'd probably say to anyone who like, you know. And I picked up a camera. I had no clue how to edit, how to film. And through trial and error, made my first video. And again, through the creation of that video, putting it out, seeing everyone's kind of thoughts in it, I just loved the process. And then it kind of it spiraled from there.
So one of the things that, you know, when you pick up a camera and you start filming, Do you ever feel like you're just talking to nobody? Like it's always awkward and uncomfortable when you're just like recording, and even in public places too. Do you still have that feeling like all these years later?
Do you know what the worst one is, right? So you got to try and not think about what you're doing too much, right? And I get it now and again. So I'll have the camera out here.
Yeah.
And then I'll look directly into the lens, and it messes me up. It's like it's like looking directly in someone's eyes. Because when you speak to someone, usually like you kind of looking around. So that kind of messes me up. But nah, I'm cool with it now. At first, obviously, it's an adjustment. Like, you know what I mean? But because you have generally editorial control, it's like, look, if I mess up, no one's ever going to see it. Like, true. You know what I mean? So it was one of those ones. But when there's people around, even now, because you know, like, especially because people know who I am now. I'm blessed to have quite a big fan base now. Or not fan base, viewer base, should we say. So when I pick up that camera and I start talking to it, it's almost like people stopping like, oh my God, he's doing it. So then do you know what I mean? So there's more pressure. And when you think about what you're doing, you mess up. But you know, it is what it's part and parcel of what we do.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah.
So you've gotten way more comfortable, of course. And now you're also like, you started like going into people's cars and doing that kind of content. So I'm sure there's a lot more to even think about, not just filming yourself, but like you're driving somebody else's car sometimes and it can be kind of sketchy, right?
Yeah.
So I want to talk about some of the earlier cars that you've had, right?
Sure.
So there's what is it? A Ford Escort or something like that?
Ford Escort, yeah. Right. So my first car.
So is it the same as like a US?
I don't know. So this is the thing. I think we use the same name. I mean, the comments would tell us, but I want to say it's very similar. So it's essentially like a 2-door coupe kind of Ford.
Okay.
Escort. Is that kind of what you guys got?
Yeah, I think there's like a 4-door.
Sporty one was RS Turbo,
This
right?
It wasn't really too sporty. I could be wrong, but the Ford Escort, I remember it was not sporty at all.
Do you know what's crazy, right? So talking about sporty, like, so even when I got it when I was 19, it was a fairly old car. And sporty back then is different to sporty now. I want to say it had 140 bhp. It's a 1.6 turbo engine in it. Okay. But that was my first car. But even for a first car, it's quite it's like, I remember a lot of people were like, wow, I can't believe you got that for your first car, if that makes sense.
How old were you said? 19?
So I was 19.
Okay.
So I used to ride bikes, like scooters, and mopeds. And then I moved on to geared kind of 2-stroke 125s and things like that. But I actually got a ban, like a driving ban in the UK on my bike. And I was off the road for like 16 months. Oh, so I couldn't, it was a bad ban. So I used to ride with a load of people and basically in a period where I was on a ban, they all moved on to cars. So by the time I was old, so we can drive from 17 in the UK. So I was on a ban throughout that period. And but yeah, by the time I was ready to get my license, my driver's license, everyone had moved on to cars. So I was like, all right, cool. I need to make a bit of an impact, seeing what I could do. But also insurance, coming off a ban for your first car and just getting your license, insurance is crazy. Yeah. And there's actually quite a funny story with that. I won't go too much into it. But so in the UK, and probably all around the world, you've always got friends that can make things happen. You know what I mean? They can make things happen, whether it's above board or below board, like, you know what I mean, against the law or not so. But I've got a friend who basically said to me, he can get any car I want insured for £500, basically. And I was looking at like £5,000 to get the car insured. Yeah. So anyway, I was like, this is the dream. Let me get that. Like, you know what I mean? £500. Now I can get any car I want. And hot on my kind of favorite cars was a Escort RS Turbo. So I grabbed the car and grabbed the insurance, and I want to say about 2 months later or something like that, the insurance just was voided because it was all like, it wasn't legit, if that makes sense. So I was left with a car that I could barely afford to run, but it's part of the game, man. It was all right. It's all I spent my money on, basically.
Most people are probably wondering why I even brought that up, but that was one of your first cars, right?
Yes, literally. Yeah.
So did that inspire any of the other future builds that you had, or was this a car you had to get into because you needed something? Or
all right, so you know what happened, right? So after that car, I actually swapped that car with someone else for a Peugeot 205 GTI. Did you get them here in the UK?
What is it called?
So a 205 GTI. No? Is Peugeot a big thing out here?
How do you say it?
Peugeot or Peugeot.
How do you spell it?
You're going to catch me out. Don't do this to me, Tukes. It's something like Pegout or something. No, it's Peugeot. Peugeot. I don't know.
Okay, I am familiar with the brand.
It's like a
yeah. I just don't know. I never knew how to say that.
Yeah.
How do you say it?
Peugeot. It's a French brand. French cars are terrible. They're known for just falling apart. But basically, I swapped it for that. That had a mad engine swap. It was modified. That car didn't last long at all because it just like self-destructed itself.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I was so annoyed with modified cars. After my first 2 modified cars, I went and bought a diesel. I bought a diesel Mini of all things. It was like a 2003, that kind of shape.
Yeah, yeah.
So a diesel
That's
one of
popular. That's one of the popular.
Yeah. It was popular. 1.4 diesel, bro. It had no power at all. Had like 80 bhp. Like, you know what I mean? It was terrible. But I felt nice because I finally was I didn't have to spend a lot on the car just to keep it running. It just ran itself, like, pretty much. So yeah, there was a bit of a gap. I kind of, before I got into my YouTube, I was always dipping my toe in the car scene and then back out because it got expensive. Like, you know what I mean? I was just an average dude earning an average wage. Do you know what I mean? Like, you blow up an engine, bro, it's game over. Like, there ain't no rebuilds. Like, you know what I mean? That's me out. Like, you know, so it's always been a case of dipping in, dipping out. So I've had some cool cars, like, leading up to the point where I actually started YouTube, but nothing mega, if that makes sense. Yeah.
So it's cool because, you know, you were kind of in and out of the scene, but you always came back to it, right?
100%.
And now I'm sure, like, the way that you buy cars now, it's probably more of like an appreciation thing. Like, damn, I bought cars in the past when I didn't have it like that. And now I'm able to buy them.
Bro, it's crazy.
All the work that I've done.
Like, so a lot of the people in the UK, or not a lot of people in the UK, but some of my followers will know that, bro, I come from humble beginnings. Like, you know, like a lot of us, like, you know, these things that I have now and I'm lucky enough to do, even being sat here, bro, in the States, talking to you, is mad. Like, before I started YouTube, I could never imagine this kind of stuff.
The way around, bro. You've been doing this longer than me.
No, but bro, like, I got to give you your flowers because what you're doing is right up there. Like, you know what I mean? To be rubbing shoulders with people like you, it's big. It's big for me, and it's something that I didn't think I'd be able to achieve. Again, coming from where I come from, like a small town, like on the outskirts of northwest London, and not really thinking too much of myself in terms of what value I could give other people. So where I am right now and everything I got, bro, I'm blessed. Do you know what I'm saying? So I appreciate everything. And it still comes as a massive surprise when, like, I guess what people would consider looks normal now when I buy these lavish cars or do crazy stuff. It's still, to me, it's just like, I can't even believe I'm doing this. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
No, it's beautiful to see a journey though. Cause like you can tell when somebody's first starting the YouTube, if you go back to the oldest videos to now, like, you know, the people have become more polished and they're more, you know, professional and so on camera. But it just seems like you stayed true to your roots. And it seems like a lot of your fan base or viewers see that. They say you're a very humble person 100%. And you know, you keep at it no matter what.
Do you know what it is, bro? It's like, as I say, like, I was on the tools for those 16 years, the camaraderie with everyone else in the workshop, being happy with, like, who I was as a person. I was 29, when I first started YouTube. Yeah. So I knew who I was. You know, when you, like, you've kind of learnt yourself.
Yeah.
So just by me picking up a camera now and getting some notoriety, I'm not the kind of, I know some people do.
Right.
But for me, I'm just the same person who picks up a camera, like, and just is doing cool stuff. But I'm the same person, you know what I mean? And I don't want to be anyone who I'm not.
Right.
And I think that might translate in videos, like, you know what I mean? And maybe that's why people, like, watch my stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
You find that later, like with YouTubers, a lot of them who are in like 30s, they're just comfortable with who they are.
Sure.
So it just comes across a lot different and more genuine and humble too.
Yeah.
So there's this thing you keep saying, brake horsepower, right? Right? You see BHP. So I'm sure people are probably, like, you know, confused, like, well, what is that even horsepower, right? So what is the difference between horsepower and BHP, how you guys calculate it?
So you've got brake horsepower and you've got horsepower. BHP is now almost like, as a running joke, people from other countries kind of call it British horsepower because no one else uses it. Some people actually say bullshit horsepower. Do you know what I mean? Because what essentially BHP is the bigger figure, right? So what horsepower generally is considered as is what the car makes at the wheel or the hub or the tire, basically. What BHP is what the car makes at the crank, which is also what manufacturers quote. Right. So the reason they're able to do that is because what they do at time of building the car and working out how much power they're going to put into the car is they take that engine out of the car, or they have the engine out.
Yeah.
They put it on something called an engine dyno.
Right.
And that gives you the correct brake horsepower figure. I don't know exactly how they measure it, but it's something to do with using a brake of some description on the crank to basically work out how much power it generates or something along those lines. Sorry if I'm butchering it. Whereas when you're dynoing a car, the tire, or or the hub of your car is attached to
Right.
the dyno. And at that point of contact is where it's measuring the power from. So essentially what we do, or what a BHP figure is on a tuned car, running it on like a hub dyno or a a normal dyno, would just be a drivetrain calculation of some description to find the BHP figure via drivetrain loss, essentially.
Okay.
So whether it's auto, whether it's a manual, whether it's a front-wheel drive car, and whatever might be in that drive line that could potentially take away power.
Right.
Now, a lot of UK dynos, generally not hub dynos, because hub dynos do read at the hub. There's no way around it. I've never seen a hub dyno give a BHP calculation. So I do a thing called the calculator of truth. And I think I'm part of the problem with BHP, right? Because I always like to give the bigger figure.
Yeah,
and of course, YouTube, right? We've got to grab people's attention, right? So if I can give them the BHP figure, which looks a little bit bigger than the whole, you know what I mean? You might click, right? So
that's true.
Yeah, so that's kind of how it works. But yeah, essentially, it's just a calculation that can never be correct. But it's a calculation based on certain transmissions, drivetrains, to give you what it should be making at the crank, if that makes sense. But it can never be correct. It can never be correct unless you put that engine on an engine dyno.
Okay, so 1,000 horsepower car,
Yes.
right? Let's just talk, because 10 horsepower is, it's basically non-existent almost, right? So 1,000 horsepower car would be how much brake horsepower BHP?
All right, cool.
Roughly.
Right. So I'll give you a good example, right? So, and also I'll give you a little bit of an example of different drivetrains and potentially what calculation or what drivetrain loss calculation you'd add to that.
Right.
Subtract. So basically, usually for a front wheel drive car with a manual gearbox, there wouldn't be a major amount of drivetrain loss.
Right.
So you'd probably go for anywhere between 10 and 12%.
Okay.
A rear wheel drive car manual, probably about the same. Four wheel drive car manual or auto, you'd probably be at about 15.
Okay.
Some people go up to 18%. So it depends. And then some people are cheeky, right? So you can apply any drivetrain loss calculation you want to it and just make up a number saying you put in a calculation or a loss. But again, it's never right. So going back to it, so I've got a four-wheel drive sequential Honda DC5 Type R.
Okay.
That made on the dyno, last time we had it on a dyno, which was a hub dyno, it made 1,030 at the hubs.
Okay.
That car, with my drivetrain loss calculation of about 15%, makes 1,200 BHP.
So you added 15% to the
Yeah, so the calculation, the way you do it, so for instance, you'll put in 1,030 into the calculator, then you'll go divided by 0.85, and then you hit the equals, and it will give you your figure, basically.
Okay.
And that's why I call it the calculator of truth.
So,
because it's always a lie. You know what I mean?
So now, when is there ever going to be a time where UK switches over just to horsepower rather than BHP?
100%. Now, pretty much all of my builders are probably cursing me right now, because every time I'm there with my calculator of truth, they're like, "What are you doing? It's made what it made at the wheels or the hubs. Why are you putting another figure onto this?"
Right.
Like they all, like the serious guys in the game in the UK, they're all talking about wheel, because it only really matters about what it's putting on the ground. Like, you know what I mean? But there's a big culture within the UK where we talk about BHP. So I would say the less, not serious, but the more kind of casual car car builders or enthusiasts, they always use the BHP figure. The real guys, wheel horsepower or at the hubs.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it's more just for, like, I guess on a content space, it's more just because the numbers are kind of inflated.
Yeah. We call it willy waving. You know what I mean? We call it willy waving. You know, you have a little willy waving. You have a little shave, you find an extra inch. Like, you know what I mean? You can. It's one of those ones, bro. Like, you know what I mean? We give out the bigger number. You know what I mean? Start measuring from here.
Willy waving. Okay, I'm like, wait, I thought it was like some other car term or something.
A willy in the UK is a penis. Like, you know what I mean? Just so the people didn't cotton on. You know what I mean?
Okay, all right. That's good to. That's not really good to know, but I guess
now you know. You learn something new every day. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh man. Okay. All right. So willy waving. Got it.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Well, that's pretty good to know, because I've always been curious about that.
Sure.
And a lot of people from the US who watch the videos are like, well, what does that even mean?
Sure.
And it's a good it's good that you bring that up, because most people will click the video because of that. 1,200. Does that mean it's 2,000? Does it mean it's 1,500? So it is a kind of way to get the viewers to kind of tune in more.
Sure.
early on, you seem to bounce back and forth between BMWs, right? 335s. I'm not sure how many of those you've had, but
bro, I've had quite a few BMWs. You know, I've had my first BMW was a 325D. I think it was a 325D, and then I got a 330D, and then I had an M3, and these are all on the E92 chassis. So like,
which is like probably one of my favorite chassis.
Yeah, a very very good looking design. Like, you know what I mean? And then I had the F80, and then what else have I had? In fact, I've got a BMW M240i now, which is obviously G series,
which
and
we'll
I have
talk
an
about
X4M.
later.
Yeah, they. I mean, there's something about a BMW, and I'm not like a massive BMW fanboy, but again, I'm lucky enough to hop in and out so many different cars and drive so many different cars, hundreds, literally, no exaggeration, hundreds. And there's something about the way a BMW drives. It's got like a level of refinement that, I don't know, it's kind of like a sport, like when we're talking about the sport models at least, they've got a level of refinement and such a good feel that I don't feel Audi or Mercedes, being the competitors of the European market, can deliver. So I always kind of go back to the BMs, like, you know what I mean? But I'm not a massive fanboy. As I say, I've got quite a few different brands.
Right.
I dip in and out, but I must say my X4M is my daily, and it's a pleasure to drive. It's a pleasure to drive. Like, you know what I mean? Everything's nice to the touch. It's built right. You know, I'd probably honestly say BMW is only second, and only not by much, to Porsche in terms of refinement.
Now, is that from a driving experience?
Driving experience, a complete driving experience.
Do you feel like an Audi, because an Audi could be pretty close, right? But do you feel like it's too, like it caters more to the luxury market?
No, I think Audi are stuck in a weird position. For me personally, like design-wise, I think they're the most on trend in terms of the design's sharp. It looks nice. It's futuristic. It's racy. I think out of the big three, let's talk about BMW, Mercedes, and Audi. I think they've got it dialed in for the most sporty kind of on-trend look. Also, I'd probably say the materials that they use and the fit and finish, the quality is probably the best too. I'd probably go as far as that. I think the drive of the Audi lets it down. It's a little bit numb. I've never had an Audi that drives as well, as much feel as a BMW, personally. And the Mercedes is a weird balance. Mercedes is that luxury brand. Well, that's what they try to do. So the ambient lighting's always mad.
Right.
The materials,
best interiors by far.
Yeah, it's a movie. You sit in that car, it's like a movie. Like, you know what I mean? Listen, if you're picking a girl up in one of the three,
Mercedes is the way to go.
Mercedes, right? But the BMW is like a blend of both of them.
Right.
But with the best drive. Arguably the most boring interior. But in fact, on the G series, I would say they stepped it up. The F series, you know, and the E series, very dead. But the G series, they're all getting close to Audi in my opinion.
I don't know how I feel about the way they did the display on the G80s. Some of them.
Oh, you're talking about the
I think it has a lot to do with the packaging nowadays. It seems like they're starting to package up their cars a little bit differently. But I just felt like, you know, they didn't really mold it into the dash. It was just kind of placed there.
A bit of an afterthought kind of just.
Right. I think it's still cool because I believe Mercedes has a similar thing, but it's molded. It's part of the dash. So I think that the interior on the BMW has improved a lot just with that aspect. I just think it wasn't as refined as an Audi or Mercedes, like you say.
Sure. Yeah.
So now with the BMW, it's more of I guess it's more performance, right? It's more of a performance kind of brand in terms of the M packages and so on.
I think so, yeah.
Now, you didn't have all M's. You had some 335s and 325s. Yeah. Did you get the same feeling with those cars?
The drive, the feel, the kind of, you know, the reason I keep kind of doing this is because the feel behind the steering wheel, you know what I mean? Like, you know, even just the way it takes bumps. Do you know what I'm saying? I did. However, bro, going back to the beginning when I'm saying I'm dipping in and out of the car community, bro, anytime the badge has got a D behind it, that's when Jamie's hurting. Like the D means economic, Jamie. You know what I mean? That D stands for I'm broke now because the last mistake went badly wrong. Like, you know what I mean? So I've dipped in and out. And I would actually say my first real like big boy car was my E92 M3. And I had a manual one, a 6MT. Ooh. Bro, that was a step that was a big step for me. That was like a really big step. And driving that was like, I felt like I was driving a race car. That was my first proper car, bro. Like it was the weight distribution, I think it was close to 50-50. So although I wasn't really like a driver like that when it comes to rear wheel drive, when the RSN stepped out, the control, and like sometimes you felt like a hero because the RSN would swing out, bro, I wasn't in control, but it might have looked like I was in control because it kind of I kind of like flapped around behind the steering wheel and it kind of brought itself back into line. And then people behind me are like, yo, and I'm like, shit, I didn't die, but yeah, that looked cool. But it was one of those, like the car really, it was a very well balanced car. And it was then I knew that like, yeah, M's no joke. Like, you know what I mean? When you're into that real M category, no M lights.
Right.
When you're into that real M category, the cars are serious cars, man.
Now with the diesels, right? You can't make any power with those?
So you can, man. And at 100%, like the diesels, and again, I'm probably going to get this wrong. It's either the M57 or the N57 that come in the 330D and the 335D. One's a single turbo, one's a twin turbo variant. Okay. I think I've got that right. And believe me, they are very, very tunable, but to a level. Like, you know what I mean? They have a roof, they have a ceiling. So with the diesel, let's say the 335D, I want to say they come out the factory with about 270 bhp. Okay. With some hybrid turbos on that. You could pretty much get that to about 420 bhp. See, this is British horsepowers again. So you have to bear with me, people. Like, get your calculator and work it out. Like, but maybe somewhere in the realms of 370 at the wheel.
Okay.
But I would say as far as you're going to go with one of those, unless it becomes an all-out drag car that is just undrivable because of the amount of black smoke that they emit that like you generally find when you really, really tune a diesel, you're probably going to see no more than 550 to 600 bhp, which might be, let's say, 500 wheel. Yeah. So they're tunable to a level. But for like someone who is a casual, like times have changed, bro. You know, like how quickly the tuning game has moved. Like massive. 10 years ago, bro, 1,000 brake horsepower, you were the man.
Yeah.
Now 2,000 brake horsepower is like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Do you know, but you're not the man.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? That's how crazy it's moved. So 600 bhp or 500 wheel in one of those is still enough for the casual kind of car, like enthusiast.
Do they build the diesels more stout than, I guess, a petrol engine? Is that what you guys call it, petrol?
Yeah, we do actually. You guys call it gas, right? And it's quite weird because my YouTube channel is officially gassed.
Officially gassed.
And we don't use that word gassed. So that was a bit of a play on word because we use the word gassed for excited. We're like, get them hyped up, like get them gassed, get them gassed up. Like, you know what I mean?
Like gassing somebody up means like you're hyping them up.
That's right. Yeah. But then obviously it can translate to gas and petrol. Okay. Kind of word. That's what I was doing like 7.5 years ago, me trying to make up a YouTube channel name. But essentially, so a lot of these diesels also, especially coming to the talking about the engine we're talking about, bro, they're still stock internals. Because they're built different, right? They're built to handle a lot of torque from factory. So the rods are going to be thicker. The pistons are going to take more abuse. So a lot of these, not all of them. And again, I didn't go too deep into that tuning game. Yeah, this is just through things I've picked up along the way. But as far as I know, a lot of them is just like bolt-ons, bro. And they're making these kind of powers. Wow. We do also, so another big tuning platform that people love in the UK and around Europe, maybe in America, I'm not sure about, is the PD engine, the PD130, which is essentially the 1.9 TDI, which comes in like your VW Golfs. Okay. I'd imagine some Audis and some other things. Yeah. They can make good power too. They can make in and around the same, maybe up to, they like nitrous. See, diesels like nitrous. So you could probably get a little bit more also on the BMWs with nitrous, but the 1.9 TDIs, they love the nitrous. So they make about 450 bhp, so probably 370-ish at the wheel, on the motor and the turbo, and then a bit of nitrous. Some of these guys are running like 250 shots of nitrous, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. So they'll rock up in these little crazy little hot hatches. All this black smoke coming out the front with a massive bottle of nitrous, like, you know what I mean? And they're pretty quick. They're pretty quick. But again, there is a little bit of a cap on how far you can tune them. Right. But there's a massive tuner scene when it comes to those, and they do build their engines. They kind of upgrade them a little bit. Now
you did a video. I think it was like a petrol versus diesel kind of thing.
Yeah. Just recently.
So what did you experience between the two? Like, what was the reason for even doing that?
So with me, again, when it comes to the OG battles, which is for the people who don't know, it's non-prep racing. So I've got my own race series, which is non-prep racing on a runway, no prep at all, street cars generally. Now and again, some of them get a little bit spicy. Yeah. Like, you know, like people say they're street cars because they've still got a stereo, the windows still wind up. It can get like that, but generally street cars. And I've done so many videos. I think we're deep, like 200 different races, maybe even more. Wow. And it gets to the point where it's like, all right, cool, we've done everything now. Let's just see what could be interesting. Yeah. And in the UK, you know, there is arguments about what's better at a certain power level between diesel and petrol. Now, of course, diesel creates a lot of torque. Petrol, you know, generally you can tune them a little bit higher. They rev a little bit higher, so they've got the revs or whatever. So I thought it'd be interesting to pitch the two against each other at similar power levels and see what happens. And funnily enough, on I don't want to give away too much. People go check it out because it's quite cool. But essentially, diesel comes out on top within that power level. But the thing is, I got some comments saying, like, all right, cool. Well, if we put the heavy hitters from the petrol in and the heavy hitters from the diesel in, bro, the diesel ain't going to stand a chance. Like, it's because the levels of petrol tuning, like that is done in abundance at least in the UK, the levels of petrol is way higher. Like, you know what I mean? Right. But at a certain power level, like let's say 500 wheel, diesel can put up a good fight. And especially rolling, because torque is a great tool to have when you're rolling. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Make sure you guys go check that out. Sure. I will be putting that down in the description as well. So that's interesting because I know that overseas, it seems like diesels are a big deal.
Yeah. If there's enthusiasts and petrol heads around, or diesel heads, or whatever you want to call them, people love to tinker. They love to play. So anything that runs, bro, we want to see how much power can be made. Like, you know what I mean? As you say, in Europe, diesels and those two kind of engine variants, plus others, are they're quite hot. Yeah.
So you, with these videos, right, you started doing these battles. I'm not sure how early on you started doing the battles. But it's pretty cool. You just had one recently did with the GTRs, which I saw all over the internet as well. Yeah. Now there's this other YouTube channel called CarWow.
CarWow, yeah.
So are you guys friends? Like, cause what's the affiliation there? Cause I get confused too. Cause I'm like, wait, are they doing the same content and they're at the same?
Yeah.
So what's the affiliation?
It's really interesting. Yes, we are friends essentially. Okay. We're not like friends like we'll call each other and all that. But funnily enough, I'm in a group chat with their like producers, and now and again we do some bits together. I've been on their channel quite a few times. But essentially, yes, we do the same thing. However, they're generally OEM stuff. So they might get the newest Lamborghini Aventador or whatever, Revuelto, or whatever it might be, and they'll race it against something else. So they generally do non-modified stuff. However, they do, like, funnily enough, like in recent years, they've been doing a little bit more of modified stuff. It's like anything. Content runs out, you have to try different things, right? Whereas I'm all modified. You know, everything is modified. And of course, and again, maybe I'm wrong in saying this, but I would assume that CarWow have a bit more of a casual car following in terms of like not the big enthusiasts into the tuning game watching. Yeah. So it's kind of just your average Joe who would watch their channel that likes a little bit of racing. Whereas you'd probably watch mine if you love tuning. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I see. But also, these guys are 10 times as big as me. I've got 1 million subscribers. They got 10 million. Like, you know what I mean? Their reach is much more vast. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm kind of the smaller channel. They were doing it before me. And although we both do drag racing, no, it's not on the same surface. Our styles are slightly different too. So,
100%.
But there's something good to be had from both for sure.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I think it's cool that you guys can like work together. You know, it's not like, because it's so easy. People will be like, why is this guy copying or doing like, it's cool to see that you guys are, because I think I saw you in one of the videos, right? Or vice versa. Yeah.
I've went there and smoked a couple hypercars in my Honda. You know what I mean?
So it was pretty cool. I'm like, oh wow, okay, cool. So they probably just, you know, friends or something.
Yeah, it's cool, man. It's cool.
That's awesome. Yeah. Now these battles, right? What was the was that just an idea that you came up with one day and you were just like, yeah, I want to get all these cars together and start doing stuff? Like, what was the initial thought process behind doing this?
So it came about quite interestingly. So believe it or not, so it started about 4 or 5 years ago. And at the time, so me and my business partner, we were like, we wanna have a product of our own, like a physical product that we can sell. And we started looking at the Draggy, and we thought, man, these guys are killing it. Like, you know, with this little device here, that's got a GPS, I don't know what goes into it, this, that, the other. Like, surely we could do our own with what I do. And at the time, what I was doing is I was using the Draggy to measure my 0 to 60s in my reviews. So anyone who comes on with a car, whether it be four-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, or front-wheel drive, I had these little leaderboards. There will be a segment in it where we see how fast a car goes 0 to 60, because also it's a measure that we can do legally, because our speed limit's 70 and the roads that I used to do it on was 60 miles per hour. And we could talk about the speed and people could get the metrics of the car a little bit to just give them a bit of a deeper feel to what the car is actually doing, if that makes sense. So I was using the Draggy and I'm like, why am I promoting Draggy? Like, do you know what I mean? I could make my own. No, they don't pay me or anything. Like, you know, I could make my own. So my business partner was calling around and he actually called. He just, I don't know why he thought this would work or be a good idea, like they'd give him any information. But there's a company called Race Logic. So Race Logic basically build the V-Box. So the V-Box is like the OG GPS measuring.
Before
the Draggy.
Yeah.
And a little bit more in depth. The first one had a little screen, so you could do it all on a screen. It didn't interface with your phone or anything like that. Whereas now they've got all that integration and it's come on leaps and bounds. But anyway, they're like the OG. So we called them and he was like trying to get some details of how we could make that, basically make our own product. And to be fair to them, they did give some information, but then they turned around and was like, well, why don't you just use our product, We'll pay you, And I was like, let's do it, And they said, on top of that, why don't you use our runway that we have? You can come down, you can race some cars against each other, and you can show how our products work. And I was like, hell yeah, let's do it. So it kind of spawned off, not even trying to start like a drag racing series. And it kind of just, it blossomed. We used their runway for a little bit. Unfortunately, the runway was quite short, so it wasn't long before the cars overpowered the track and we had to move on to a next one. Yeah. But yeah, it was through that it kind of got started, and just people, it was a new thing, in terms of for my channel, and people were loving it, and I enjoyed it too. It was crazy. So yeah, that's how that started.
What? So you're not using a drag, you're using what?
No, so we only use Race Logic's V-Box.
Race Logic, that's what it is. That's what I always see when you guys calculate.
Yeah. So essentially, I'll be honest with you, we don't use it to its full potential. What we use is a V-Box, Performance Box Touch, and it's actually a track tool, so it's a circuit tool. So it's actually to make you, or it can potentially make you a quicker driver around the track. It can tell you where you're losing speed, gaining speed. It has all the tracks around the world, in fact, in its memory, and it can give you any metric you want. But it's essentially, it's got a memory card and you take it out, put it in a laptop, and you just get every metric. We only use it for 100 to 200 kph times, 0 to 60 and quarter mile times. So we barely dip our toe in the water, but it's a great product, and that's why we continue to use it.
So with that being said, you're in a lot of these fast cars, right? I think I might have asked you the other day, but I can't remember what you had said, honestly. What was one of the fastest cars that you were in, or driven, or either were passenger in?
So you know what, as you say, bro, I've been in so many fast cars. And I've been in so many fast cars to the point where they all give crazy experiences. You know what I mean? But what does happen is you become slightly immune to speed. So it has to be, you're nearly dying, or it has to be a stripped out tin can with way too much power that you're just going to make it feel crazy. But again, been in so many different cars, but one that just stands out so much to me is basically a tuning company who I'm very close with. These guys are my brothers. They're called ES Motor UK. They build the world's quickest and fastest Porsches. And funnily enough, they own the world's fastest, or the owner of ES Motor, Amir, he owns the world's fastest Porsche and quickest Porsche, which is a 997 911 turbo. Okay. So it's kind of like a 2010 kind of model. Okay. The car's got 2200 wheel horsepower. So it's got a lot of power. Sequential gearbox too.
Is it rear wheel drive?
It's 4-wheel drive. 4-wheel drive. But bro, it might as well be rear wheel drive, because when you're trying to drive this car in a straight line, it just wants to rotate on you. It holds the current half-mile record in Europe too. I think it just got beaten, but it held the current half-mile record for any car, but definitely for any Porsche, it still holds that, which I think is, I want to say it's 230. It might be 229. I'm not sure. But bro, this car is just, it's so scary. On my runway, we've got 4 lanes. And it feels like a big runway. Okay. Until you're in that car. And it's changing lanes and using up the whole of the runway. It is mind blowing. And of course, sequential gearbox. You've got to drive it with one hand, unless you want to keep, you know what I mean? You're trying to control this thing that it might as well be rear wheel drive. When the boost hits, bro, it's no joke. You feel everything. The only way I can kind of describe it is 4-wheel drive torque steer. So in a front wheel drive car, you put your foot down and it goes and it might pull to the side. Yep. It's kind of the same with this car. Big power GTRs, how they kind of walk. They crab. Yeah. This does the same. And it's almost hazing all 4 wheels, down the whole track. It's wild. It's like one car that I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I even trying to drive this? You know what I mean? That one really left a lasting impression. But a lot of Porsches have done that to me, believe it or not.
So now, we were talking about this before with the Porsches, right? I can't say I'm not a Porsche fan. And you know what's funny about that? The only Porsche I've ever driven, might sound crazy. The only Porsche I've ever driven was a GT2 RS.
You just flexing on us now. All right, bro.
That's the only, and that was only because it came in. It was a customer's car at some shop I used to film at in New York, and we would take the cars and do videos and photos of it. So I got to drive it. Really fast car, a little scary.
Yes.
But I didn't even know what I was in at the time.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a GT2 RS. All right, cool.
Yeah.
And then until later on, I found out it's a really it's honestly a rare.
That's the one, bro. Car. Yeah, that's the one.
So that didn't really get me into Porsches at all. Sure. I just thought it was cool, but I never really looked into them. I'm not really sure what the chassis codes are.
Yeah.
That's the biggest confusion. So what is the breakdown for chassis codes for a Porsche?
So, all right, we'll go through them. But first, I will say, bro, you're not alone when it comes to this confusion.
Okay.
No one, like, unless you're into Porsches, you don't know. And the thing is also, it's an interesting one. To be you don't come across many big Porsche enthusiasts because, in my opinion, the shape and design doesn't change much between generations. So it's still a classic design, if that makes sense.
Right.
And for the money they cost, what you could buy instead and look a lot more like, you could look like you're balling in a Lambo.
Yeah.
Or you could buy a Porsche and blend in a little bit more, but the cars are kind of the same price.
Okay.
So for the younger generation to want to spend that money on a Porsche, you've got to be an enthusiast. Right. You've got to know what you're buying based on the stats,
right,
or what the car can do. But when it comes to chassis codes, it gets very, very confusing.
Okay.
So I can run through the turbo. So like when they first started the turbo, the Porsche 911 turbo, basically. Okay. So it started with the 930. That was the first ever 911 turbo. And then it went to the 964.
Okay.
That's the second generation. And then it went to the 993. The 964, for anyone who's watching, is the one that was on Bad Boys. So after the 993, it went to the 996. That was the first one that didn't have the round headlights at the front. Do you know the one it looked like? I think they call it like fried eggs. It's kind of round and then it comes round. It's like almost the ugly duckling version.
Right.
Arguably the ugliest. I think it's the ugliest of the bunch. And then so that was the 996. Then it goes 997. They went back to the round lights. And the 997 generation is the generation I was just talking about with the sequential gearbox, around 2010. I think they come out in about 2007, but had it like a facelift. And then after the 997, it went 991. And now it's went 992. And the confusing thing is, they dropped the 993 after the 964, then went 996, but now I've went back behind the 993 with their coding. So it's very confusing. All these numbers are very confusing. On top of that, you've got .1, .2, right? In most of them, right? So kind of the facelift of all of them. But then within these models now, you have loads of difference. You have the Carrera. You have just the 911T.
Same chassis code though, right?
Same chassis. So you have, for instance, let's talk about the 991, right? So a 991.2 GT3 you can have, 991.2 GT3 RS, 99.2 Turbo, 99.2 Turbo S, Carrera, GTS. You've got all of these within that model code.
Okay.
And then potentially within the newer model code and so on and so forth. So it can get really confusing because it don't really make no sense.
So it's kind of like how BMW is. The 3 Series, they have the M3.
Sure.
So it'd be like an E90 chassis, E92, E90, whatever, 4-door, 2-door kind of situation, but just from the Porsche. Now, with those chassis codes, right, you said 991, right? Mm-hmm. So if there's a Turbo S, Carrera, like what is it? What would somebody who's a car enthusiast that wants a performance version of it, what would they go for out of those?
So interestingly, after quoting those chassis codes, they and being for turbos, so Porsches used to be naturally aspirated, but the turbo model was the turbo, right? It's the one with the most power.
Right.
But I want to say I think I'm right in saying from the 991, which is like they came out in 2013 or 2014, I think. Even their kind of entry level one was like turbo. I think it was a 3-liter T. So the turbo kind of they're all turbo. They're all turbo now. So essentially, the Turbo S is the top boy one. If you want the refinement of a car that you can drive on the road, it's 4-wheel drive and just go as fast as you like, you go for the Turbo S or the Turbo. The Turbo is nearly the same, bar a few things. Like, you know what I mean? Just about.
Is 40. It all-wheel drive? Are they
all-wheel drive? It's all-wheel drive. No, but traditionally, anything that isn't a Turbo or a Turbo S or a Carrera 4, unless it kind of says it, or a GTS 4 or whatever, it'll be rear-wheel drive. Yeah. So if you want the all-out track car, it's the GT3.
Right.
Or the GT3 RS or the GT2 being the top boy one. And the GT2 is the turbo variant of the their track cars, because the GT3 and the GT3 RS are both naturally aspirated.
Right. And the 2RS is
turbo.
the turbo.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to the turbo version and the non-turbo version, right? Is there any difference in performance between the two? Like,
100%. So,
well, obviously, but I'm saying like if you were to modify a
Sure.
NA one, would there be any difference?
well, you're stuck like any NA car, gaining power on normal fuel, unless you're going to go methanol or something crazy, like, you know what I mean, a nitro methanol. It's hard to get power out of. So you're really stuck until you, again, not a lot of people have done this, twin turbo them, supercharge them. There's been a few supercharged, one, maybe two twin turboed.
Yeah.
So people basically don't do it with naturally aspirated. They usually stage one tune and then exhaust, leave it how it is, drive it around the track. Sounds nice, not very fast. Rear wheel drive, and it's a driver's car.
Yeah.
Arguably the best handling car out there. Whereas the Turbo S, bro, sky is the limit. Sky is the limit. So I've had a couple of Turbo S's. I had the 991.2 Turbo S, and I also recently sold my 992.1 Turbo S. My 992, bro,
is it the blue one?
That was the blue one.
Okay,
that was the blue one. So we were running 1100 horsepower on a stock engine on that car.
What?
Stock, bro. So these cars can take it. And that was safe. Like, you know what I mean? Like, like that is safe enough for ES Motor to sell that as a package that they can back up and warranty. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the car was happy at that power. That's just full bolt-ons. No gearbox modifications, just a TCU tune, stock motor, turbos, intercooler, methanol injection, good ECU tune from Emre at ES Motor in Turkey, because that's where they originate, and a few other little bolt-ons, maybe an intake.
Yeah.
That's it, bro. We're making 1100 horsepower. And I'm telling you right now, in the UK, although everyone loves to cry, there's not a lot of cars, I don't care what you're driving, on the street that are going to be faster.
So, then a Porsche.
Not necessarily my Porsche, but if we want to get into it, like if you're talking stock motor cars, I don't think there's faster. If you're talking built motor cars, there's built motor Porsches out there too. And again, I'll bring that back. On the street, I don't think there's a lot of cars running faster than a built motor 992 right now.
Okay, so how much does that car cost?
So all right, cool. So that's where you could, because of course there's, So
just curious, I don't know how much it costs. But.
So essentially in the UK, if we're talking about the 992, pretty much the latest generation, right now, bottom dollar you'll buy one for is about 130,000 English.
Turbo S.
Turbo S.
Okay, that's like R8 prices.
Yeah, for you guys, and we can. We can pick up an R8 for 70 grand in the UK.
70. What year though?
So that would probably be one of the early ones. 15 plate.
That's still a nice
2015.
Yeah. As long as it's not like a 09 or
0. No. We're talking about the one the V10 platform that everyone took twin turbos. That's 70 grand.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
So dollars, I'm gonna say probably 160-ish, right?
Okay. Turbo S.
Okay. And then for my build with the full bolt-ons, ES Motor retail that for around 35,000 UK, right? So again, you're about $50,000. So for that car, you're going to be 200 grand before built motor. If you want a built motor 992, I'm going to say, and apologies to the ES boys, so I know now I'm mentioning the name, they're always watching because they're always supporting anyway. So apologies if I get this wrong, but I want to say you're going to be in 80,000 English. So maybe 100 grand kind of build spec on top of that for a 1300 wheel horsepower car. So a 1500 bhp car.
Wow.
But bro, they lay it down like stock. They're like a stock Turbo S.
Yeah.
Drives with all the refinements, drives exactly the same, not laggy, anything like that, bro, but they go so fast. And you can physically drive them with one hand. In fact, on the feature that I done with a couple of them, I think we might have done it off camera because it might have looked a little bit dangerous.
Okay.
I can't remember. But Rebase, the kind of test driver, he's driving it full throttle from like second gear with one hand, like 1500 brake horsepower on the road, and it's just straight as an arrow. Like they're so easy to drive. The way they lay it down, unreal. You cannot beat Porsche's four-wheel drive systems. They're so good.
And does it have a PD? Is it PDK?
PDK. So again, stock gearbox, just Dodson clutches. That's what you need at that kind of build level.
So how the transmission? What is it capable of in terms of like?
I don't know, bro. I don't know. We're gonna find out. But I tell you what, the 991, which that platform been around a little bit longer, pushed a lot further. And in fact, shout out to AIM Performance, which is a franchisee of ES Motor over here in the States. AIM. So I believe they own the fastest 991.
It's a black one.
Black one.
Juan.
Yeah.
Juan. His name is Juan, I think. I believe.
Very fast. I think he just went into the 7s. I might be wrong. 7.9 he might have.
I think his name is Juan. I could be wrong. But Juan he has the black one.
Black one. I think his number plate's 8 sec. Or something
he
along
has
those lines.
a parachute on this car, right?
Yes.
So that's the one, yeah. A friend of mine actually knows him and he takes care of that car out in New York. But super fast car.
Very, very fast. Very, very fast. But it's interesting because when you come to the States, the levels change. So perhaps not considered very, very fast out here. I mean, a 7-second car or a low 8-second car is a fast car to me.
Yeah, that's fast.
But when you're talking about some of you boys with the GTRs running 6 seconds,
right,
and going like some of these, again, what's a street car, what's not, like, but some of them running like low 6s, some of the V10s, low 6s. Things change. But out in the UK, I mean, like for a build of like a properly built 991, bro, like there's nothing, there's not a lot touching them on the road or on the track, to tell the truth.
What? So you're making this power on a stock transmission still?
Yeah, sorry. See, I waffle and I lose my train of thought. Yeah.
I just had to.
No, I'm glad you brought that back because I knew he was going somewhere with that. So the 991. So no one builds a gearbox for the 991. No one. So they break, but they might break at 1500 brake horsepower, or they might break at 1900. You just don't know. It's just one of those ones. If you've got a 1700 brake horsepower Porsche, which is about 1500 wheel, sadly it's probably not if, it's when.
Okay.
You might go 2 years, you might go 2 pulls. Generally, they're good, but they can break. And I know that firsthand because I had a built 991.
Yeah.
Mine was 1300 bhp. And second gear roll, I was on a half mile trying to do some half mile attempts. And the boost came in way too hard. Gearbox didn't like it. Blew a gearbox. And I tell you what, when you're talking about Porsches and those kind of monies, you don't want to be blowing gearboxes. Do you know what I mean? But unfortunately, no one does a gear set for them. That's what they need. They need an uprated gear set.
But that's still pretty impressive that you can run that much. How much torque?
Gosh, I'm not sure, man. It's a lot of torque. It's a lot of torque. And to be fair to these gearboxes, like when you're at that power, bro, you're taking the piss out of stock internals. Like you're really, whatever's stock in the car, like it's surprising it's lasting 1 pull. But as I say, a lot of them are 2 years plus, like, you know what I mean? And I think now they've got a good supply of second-hand gearboxes so they can make it viable, like, you know what I mean? Right. But it's something that unfortunately is actually like a bit of a holdback for how far you can push those cars is the gearbox, because no one makes a gear set for them.
Right.
So, yeah.
Damn. And so the Porsche was like your first, well, I would say your dream car, right? That
100%,
was technically your dream car.
Yeah.
Was it your first? I don't even know if you would call it an exotic. Is it an exotic?
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. I mean, for me, it felt that way. I spent 110,000 English pounds on it. Most I've ever spent on a car by a country mile. I want to say that's probably about 135 US. So it was a lot of money for me. And I think that's you could kind of call it exotic money, you know, kind of bottom of the chain.
What do you consider an exotic? What would you consider an exotic?
So we don't really use the word exotic in the UK. It's more supercar. We just use the word supercar. So something like what supercar, entry-level supercar? I would say just scraping into that category is a V10 Audi R8. Just. And that's debatable.
Same here. Okay.
But essentially, it would probably be a Lamborghini Huracan, a McLaren 570S, that would probably just about get in there. And then maybe a Ferrari 488 from like the big three. So that's kind of like entry-level supercar kind of. That's what I'll call an exotic, if that makes sense. And then the Turbo S, because it's Turbo S and it's got as much power as the others and hit 60 quicker than all of the cars, and in fact actually probably beats them in every metric. Like, you know, I would probably class that as a supercar, but again, biasedly, because I just bought one and spent a lot of money. Like, you know what I mean? So
so on the Porsche level, right? There's different models, of course.
Yes.
You wouldn't consider all of them exotics, right? You wouldn't consider a Carrera, right?
So, no, that would be a sports car. I would say.
So now a turbo on the Porsche scale, a Turbo S would just be getting into there, or you would consider?
I would say.
What about a GT3? Is that considered?
See, that's a tricky one. See, that's a very tricky one. That's actually a bit of a curveball. Now, it's definitely supercar money or exotic money. It's like 200,000 pounds. So, yeah, I'm gonna say that's more of a. I'm gonna take a sidestep and I'm gonna say that's a track car. Which one? The GT3. I'm gonna say that's a track car.
Okay.
A track purpose built, a purpose built track car. I would say an exotic track car.
Yeah.
somewhere in between. But yeah, if someone put a gun to my head and said exotic or not, I'd say exotic for sure.
Okay. Because I noticed that a lot of people get some money, they run into some money, and you see a lot of people buying these GT3 RSs, and it seems like it's more of a flex car rather than using it for what it's intended for.
100%.
So it's just interesting now because is it considered an exotic or?
Yeah, definitely more so, I would say, with the 992 generation over the 991.
Okay.
The 991, don't get me wrong, like great cars, but this 992, the way it looks wild, bro. The wing is humongous. The aero on the car is
newest
crazy.
one?
The newest one, the 992.
992, 991 is it backwards or we're
They're
in
different.
sequential?
So it goes 991, then 992.
Okay, so it's sequential for that.
Yes.
What model are we on right now?
We're on a 992.
Okay, 992.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the newest one. I think Adam LZ just bought one.
Quite possibly.
So.
Yeah.
That one's sick.
Sick. They look crazy, and they're a showpiece, as you say. It's a flex when they go down the road.
Right.
But realistically, on the road is not where they should be because they only shine on the track. They don't drive brilliantly on the road. For someone like me and you that drive fast cars, they're not that fast. They sound nice. That's about it.
What about a Turbo S though?
Turbo S, fast as hell.
No, but in terms of like driving on the street, you could
easily, bro, just as easy as your G80 BMW. Like, you know what I mean? Just as smooth, like really nice. But that's what they're created for. 4 seats too.
Yeah.
Although backseat passengers have to be paraplegics, they can just about carry 4 people.
Right.
They're meant to be in fact, this is what Porsche call them, the everyday supercar.
Everyday supercar. Okay, so it's a supercar then.
Yeah.
Technically.
Yeah.
Now, what about all the other cars like the hyper? Like you guys have hypercars?
Hypercars, yeah, we call
Okay, so
hypercars.
it's supercar, no exotic. You don't say exotics.
Not really.
It's supercar and then hypercar.
Yes.
Right. There's no difference between.
No.
Okay.
I mean, and again, it's arguable where that crossover is. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Is it money based? Is
That's
it
what I'm
power
saying.
based?
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure. Quite a point of argument right now would be the new Lamborghini Revuelto, I think it's pronounced. 1,001 brake horsepower. You know, that's hypercar power, I guess, out of the box, maybe. But it's £500,000. I'm not sure if that puts it in that hypercar money category. So that's kind of like, for me, that's a maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Like, you know what I mean? So I don't know. But hypercars for me, it would have to probably be 1,000+ brake horsepower and cost quite a lot of money and be extremely rare.
So on the flip side of that, right? We're talking about exotics, high priced items and so on, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about the lower price stuff.
Sure.
Maybe Hondas.
Hondas, bro. See, this is the thing, right? Going back to it, I feel blessed to have had these Porsches, and I currently own a McLaren too. But my heart is with the grassroots stuff, the stuff that you buy and it's slow as hell, but you make them so fast they're just dangerous.
Yeah,
that's what gets me going. Like, you know what I mean? And I feel like the journey with a lot of those cars is more rewarding than some of these cars that are already top tier cars that you just make faster.
Right.
Taking nothing away from those top tier cars because they're amazing. And Hondas, again, I was never a big Honda guy, but Hondas have become something that I'm obsessed with, like, you know, and that's only through starting this YouTube channel. And I remember the first time I ever drove a boosted Honda, bro, I was like, what? What is this?
Front wheel drive or
front wheel drive?
Okay.
Front wheel drive, bro. I got in this car and it was an FN2 also. So the one after the EP3. I'm not sure if you got an EP3 over here.
We had EP3.
You had the EP3? So it's the one after that. The one that is the ugly duckling. Not everyone loved. Came with a K20, but heavier body, same power. So I'd heard that about the car, never driven a boosted Honda, and I hopped into this car and it was stripped out and everything. And I want to say it was about 400 wheel horsepower. And I'm thinking, I've driven 400 wheel horsepower cars before, and this is meant to be the slow one. Bro, when that boost hit and the steering wheel was doing that, bro, I thought, what is this car? Honestly, I never felt anything like, and it's because how aggressive they are.
Yeah.
And I want to say he had a screamer pipe to atmosphere. So when it come on boost, the sound, I'm like, bro, this is the most intimidating thing. And it was like, literally at that moment, I was like, this is the hype. This is why. And you would have never got me to agree or say a Honda is like a good car unless I had driven one. And I get it. I get people who watch these Hondas and think they're rubbish and they look crap or whatever. It's generally because they haven't driven one. Because when you drive one and you drive one in anger, woo, bro, and they always punch above their weight too. So going back for it, that power there, right? The car shouldn't have been moving how fast it was moving. It blew my mind how fast this car was at the quoted power level. And it was then I knew I need one of these. Like, you know what I mean? And it just blew up from there.
So it's funny because like so what was the first Honda that you had that you debuted on the channel? Was it the Integra?
Yes, it was my DC5. So I've got two Integras, but I've got the DC2
right,
and the DC5. Yeah.
Right, which is to me is a pretty cool car to start with.
Yeah.
Because over here we have that
Acura RSX.
Acura RSX,
Yeah.
right. That car, you actually got that car there where you could buy it, or you have to import it.
So no, you're making me think now. No, there's quite a lot in the UK, but from memory, they're all imports. They never actually sold them.
Okay, yeah, right. So it's still a JDM car.
It's a JDM car.
It is a JDM car.
Yes,
okay,
yes.
Right.
And of course, in Japan, they drive on the right.
Right.
In the UK, we drive on the right.
Right.
So it's just, yeah.
So that's your first car, which is actually pretty cool, right?
Very cool. And in fact, I was still, so this is how you could tell I was still like a little bit unsure about Hondas, because the only one at that time, now I've got a different love for them now because I've just become such a fanboy, but the only like Honda I like the look of at that time was that DC5.
Yeah.
And that was kind of my in, like, you know what I mean? Because obviously K20 engine, I was like, all right, cool. So we can do some mad stuff to it, like, but it looks half decent too. So
with that car, you ended up probably immediately getting to work with it, right? Like you do with most cars.
Oh, bro, hear this. So when I bought it, it was actually supercharged. So it came, like not from factory, obviously, but the previous owner had supercharged it.
Right.
So it had a Jackson supercharger on it. No intercooler, made 300 horsepower.
Okay.
And it made a good noise, but I don't think it was any faster than like what a stock K20 would have been. To tell the truth. It just made a good noise. So it already was modified in a way. But yeah, my whole goal, was to turbo this car. And we got to work pretty quick.
So with this car, you've been through some ups and downs, a ton of them with this car.
A lot of downs, bro. A lot of downs. A few ups, a lot of downs.
So it seems like every time you get it running, something else happens, but it's a Honda. It's kind of expected, especially at the power that you're making. What is it making now?
So right now, so we've got a new build going on now. So before I blew it up, it made 1,030 at the hub. So
1,030 horsepower or bhp?
Wheel horsepower. Okay. So your American horsepower, it made just over 1,000, like, you know. But bro, the thing is, with that Integra, the reason I've spent so much money, and we talk about how much money I've spent on it, and it's absolutely mind blowing. But the reason I have done what I've done, and the reason it's been so many ups or so many downs, a few ups, but not as many as downs, is the fact that I originally set out to build like a 500, 600 brake horsepower car. And I kept wanting more. Do you know what I mean? I kept wanting more. So we were leaning on these components that were never meant to be taking the kind of power that we were throwing at it. You know, so it's kind of been a case of, all right, so this is the setup. Let's push this power. And they're like, Jamie, are you sure that's all you want? And I'm like, that's all I want. But a month into it, let's do more. Like, you know what I mean? Blow it up. Then it'll be like, all right, cool. Let's aim for this much power. And they're like, Jamie, are you sure this is all you want? This is all I want. I'll be good. Month later, let's do more. Blow it up. And then we keep, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then there's like transmissions, this, that, the other, brake, and so many breakages.
Right.
And it's just been a mad learning curve, because the guys who build it, shout out to Auto Talk, they're not like big Honda builders. They kind of, they're on more 4G63 kind of Evo stuff.
Which is pretty similar in terms of how much.
4-cylinder, you know. They do a lot of RB stuff, new GTR stuff. So that's their kind of thing. But the owner's a really cool guy, wanted to do something with me. And I was like, well, I want a 4-wheel drive a Honda. Like, and it's like, never done it, but let's try. So for them, it's been a learning curve too. Again, for my pocket, not the most financial best decision, but you know, it creates a story, you know, and it's been a hell of a journey, and I've learned along the way for sure.
Now, do you believe in overbuilding at all? Because people like myself, I overbuild because I don't want the headache of having to go back and redo stuff. I want to enjoy my car and kind of do what I got to do. If I want to turn it up, I can turn it up without having to worry about if something's going to break.
Sure.
So did you ever have that mindset with the, are you there now at least with the car where you're like, I'm going to overbuild it?
I'm there now. I'm there now, but bro, I have never been there. I'm always like, how cheap can I do this? Like, you know, what can we get away with? Yeah. And I think especially when it comes to the K20, like there's such a renowned engine, like, you know, they can, English horsepowers here, so BHP, they can quite happily do about 500 BHP, which is probably about your 450 wheel horsepower. You can beat them all day long. So once you put a set of rods and pistons in there, you know, you're feeling invincible, like, you know what I mean? But realistically, they have breaking points. So it's like, how much can we push on the least amount of money? Which, looking back now, bro, if I could have overbuilt it, I would have overbuilt it. Because I reckon I could have built my car for the same, like, as you see it, probably for half the price, I reckon.
So how much have you spent on your Honda?
So in terms of, yeah, it's a lot of money. So dollars wise, I'd probably say I'm probably in modifications in about $150,000.
US.
US, yeah.
And how many times have you broken the car?
I've broke it so many times, bro. Like 3 or 4 engines, transmission rebuilds, probably 3 times. But 4-wheel driving it also, and not doing it myself. See, this is probably at my detriment. So for a shop that can do the work themselves, greatly will minimize your costs, right?
Yeah.
But I'm paying labor too. So that's included in this, which is a great amount of that costing, if that makes sense. And a lot of labor goes into actually 4-wheel driving a DC5 Type R. They, like, I want to say EGs, EKs, EP3s, and some other variants. You can now get like bolt-up kits.
Okay.
You don't have to cut like transmission tunnels and things like that.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of fab work that goes into making a DC5 4-wheel drive, which is probably why you don't see a lot of them, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So that costed quite a lot. But it's more so, you know, I run a motorsport gearbox. I've got a Quattro sequential gearbox in it. That box is quite expensive. You find the limits of the bell housing. You find the limits of the transfer box housing. You upgrade it. Like, you know what I mean? I want to say just the gearbox on its own with the breakages, probably US owes me $35,000 just on the box, you know? So it gets expensive.
Is that the most expensive aspect of it, you think? The transmission?
Yeah, I'd probably say the transmission. If you look at what I've spent on it to buy, US, it's, so for a Quattro transmission, like, you know, without any billet bell housings or anything like that, you're probably looking maybe about $14,000. But once you start going billet bell housing, billet transfer case and all that, I mean, you'd probably be closer to 22,000.
Right.
I might be off with my estimations here, but yeah, it gets expensive. My engine this time round, we went for a pretty good solution. Because the thing is, one thing I tried to do with this car, right, it makes 1,030 at the wheel, which actually makes it in the UK the most powerful K20. Which again, I know is not majorly impressive. So I know you've got a massive US audience. And also I want to say, like, I know I don't want to be too soppy or anything like that, but whilst I've been out in the States, it's been humbling to see how many people, especially in Florida, have kind of come and showed love and said they love what I do.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't want to, like, I want to big up the States, like, you know what I mean? But basically, you guys are levels ahead. So 1,000 at the wheel out here is kind of nothing. But in the UK, like, that's pushing the boundaries. And the reason I stuck with the K20 was because it was a little bit different. Generally, when people want to go more power, they go K24, more torque, and they can hold power a little bit better. And I thought it would be a little bit more unique to say K20. So I done that. And the problem with that is you got to run a lot of boost to try and make power.
Yeah.
And on a 4-cylinder K20, 2 litre, it lifts heads. So that has been something that I have been battling with for maybe 2 or 3 years. Now, in my opinion, my car has been an 8-second car for the last 2 years.
Okay.
But I've just never done an 8. Whether it be the 60 foot, whether it be up top, but something is always stopping me. It's had the terminal. You know, my car was trapping at about 900 wheel horsepower. I was trapping 160 mile an hour.
Okay.
At about 9.2. So the terminal speed is right up there for an 8 second. Yeah. But I'll be running a 9.2 with a 1.6 60 foot. Like, you know what I mean? So again, and then we could speak about that. I won't go too much into it, but the prep in the UK isn't the same. But also I run that car non-prep. I run that just straight on the, like, straight. I want people to know when they watch my channel, when they see me run a time, if you say anything about you're quicker, just know I'll run this time on you. Like, you know what I mean? I don't have to be on the track. That's what I want it to be. I want it to just know that anything I'm running right now, you can get it like that. Like, you know what I mean? So that was kind of my thing, but at my detriment, you know, because again, running non-prep, it brings up other things like, you know, you can really shake the transmission, you can hurt the transmission, and, you know, it's probably not the best. So it's been a big fight, lifting heads, and luckily the last time I lifted a head, I've got a Cyvex ECU. So Cyvex. Oh,
you're in a Cyvex.
So I run a Cyvex, which again is very left field for what people use on Hondas.
But Cyvex is actually a really good ECU.
Very good ECU. I mean, for people who don't really know much about Cyvex, it's probably your Motec equivalent, like, you know, with functionality and what you can do. So I've got a Cyvex, again, another expensive item that's on the car. And then, you know, once you start talking about how many sensors and so on and so forth. But what we do have is a coolant pressure sensor. So we can tell when the coolant pressure spikes.
Yeah.
And what we have is a safety on that as soon as it sees X amount of pressure, it'll cut my ignition. So it will hopefully save the engine. And it has. But what it does, it blows the head gasket, it might chip a little bit out the head. Maybe we can skim it and do a new solution. We've tried O-ringing it on our last attempt. I run a 2-litre K20 Rami Racing sleeved an O-ring block, or that's what I was running. We thought that would be able to hold the power. It did until we tried to run 55 pounds through it, and it lifted the head. But again, we caught it. So now my new sealing solution, and you know what? Shout out to, I want to get this right. I think it's Boosty Built. You might have heard of him. He's from the States. Boosty Built. He runs a couple of Hondas, all-wheel drive Hondas, big power, like 1300 wheel, I want to say. And I know he's built some cool cars. I hope I'm getting that right. Boosty Built, or Da Boosty, I think is his name on Instagram.
I don't think I'm familiar.
Anyway, shout out to him. I hope I got that right. And he, out of nowhere, after he saw my last break, he just reached out to me and he goes, "Hey, bro, I've been seeing the problems you've been having with your car. Have you thought about this? Like, we've tried everything and this is our solution." And I also had problems with my viscous coupler, which is the thing that transfers power from the front to the rear. And he was like, "This is the guy to take it to," and so on and so. So he just out of nowhere, like, and this is where you really like the community, you know, because there can be toxicity in the community, right?
100%.
But this is where the community comes together. He didn't have to help me. He don't have to tell me a secret. You don't have to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he kind of wanted to see me win, like, you know what I mean? So he told me, we need to do this, we need to do that. And again, shout out to Trust Fab. He built my my viscous coupler. I sent it all the way to the States because I wanted it done right. We're having loads of problems. And he also then put me onto a sealing solution by Bullet Racing. So have you heard of Bullet Racing? They do billet blocks.
They do RBs. They do RB 2J blocks. Yeah,
that's right.
Yep.
So we went for their fire ring setup, which is essentially now like a special groove, like this kind of machined into the top of the bore to receive like I want to say it might be copper, but it might not be.
I think you can do copper or I did brass in mine, but copper, brass, or stainless steel.
It might be. It's one of them. And then it's kind of built to receive a copper gasket.
Right.
So that is basically the solution that they say that they've run crazy PSI through, and this is the only thing that works. So that is the new build of the engine, still on that Rami Racing block, and hopefully that will take the power. We've actually went up a size in turbo now too.
What are you guys running?
So we were running. So shout out to Precision, because Precision sponsor all of my builds. They've been a great help, and their Gen 3 turbos are just mind blowing how much of a jump they are over the Gen 2s, but also how far ahead they are, in my opinion, of other turbo brands right now.
Yeah.
I feel like anyone running a Precision, they're the ones breaking the records, right? Yeah. For the most part. So we were running a Gen 3 6870, and it was pretty much on the limit. I would say at 1,030 wheel power, on the K20 at least. And so this is the logic, and there'll be people here because I know stuff, but I'm not the most mechanically minded, but this is the logic, and it seems to make sense that we had to run 55 pounds through that to basically make our 1,030 at the wheel.
Okay.
If we go up in turbo size, we can run less boost pressure and make the same power, hopefully making less cylinder pressure, hopefully not lifting the head so much. That's the idea. So we've went up to a 72, 75 next gen, with the idea to make around the same power, but at less boost. So that's the idea. Because they're so quick spooling. Right. However, we used to run a Garrett GTX 3584 RS, and the spool on that made my Integra deadly, bro. Like, as soon as you're on the throttle, you're gone, especially with a sequential. Like, that's what made me hard to beat. Like, you know, you could come with like 200-300 brake horsepower more. I'm gone. You got to try and chase me. And usually by the time I'm at the end of the track, you ain't caught up enough. Like, you know what I mean? Whereas when we went to the 6870, although the spool was good, we did notice there was a little bit more lag before the boost came in. Okay. So going up a size again in turbo, now we're like, how is it going to hit? We're revving, we can rev the car to 10,000.
Is that what you rev to now?
So we were, I think on the last build, we revved it to about 9.7. We haven't went all the way to 10, but it's got 10 in it.
Do we need to though? Because of the turbo?
We might need to. With
the bigger turbo.
With the bigger turbo. We might need to go there. We might need the revs, because look, if it's coming on that, and I'm not saying this is where it's coming on, but just saying it might. If it's coming on at 6, we need the revs. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
So we might think about nitrous too, just to get it spooled. But bro, like, I've just explained how much money I spent on this car. I'm not trying to break it anymore, bro. You know what I mean? I'm trying to do it properly once and for all. So my goal now is to get this, like, shout out to Javier from TRC, right? So he's another, like, one of my guys who have, like, really helped me out when it's coming to the States, put me in the circles I need to mix with and point me in the right direction, and also helped me with my DC5 because he had a RSX.
He had one. He had all-wheel drive.
Do you know what's crazy? I had my DC5 for like a year, 4-wheel drived it. He's asking me questions. He gets his, breaks the world record, sells his, and bro, I've still got mine. I haven't done no 8s. Mine's always broken. I'm like, he just came in, killed the game, dropped the mic and left. Like, you know what I mean? But yeah, shout out to him. So basically, when he sold his car, I bought.
Let's get the shit out of me. Yo, I was like, wait, what was that?
Bro,
yo,
that was scary as hell.
I was like, what the
Woo! All right, cool. We leaving that in?
Yeah.
Oh my God, bro. I thought the ghosts were here. All right, cool. So anyway, yeah, so I bought his Bellax off him and his tire setup. He yeah. So him and Real Street set up. So I've got his setup. I've got his tire setup. So what I'm going to be doing is once it's rebuilt, I'm going to try and make the same power on that turbo, right?
Okay.
I might make a little bit more. It might happen. Who knows? Let's see what it does, right? But I'm going to go to the track. I'm going to run at 8. Yeah, I don't care if I got to turn it up to 11 to run the 8. But I reckon if everything hooks up, it should do a nice mid 8. Right?
Yeah.
And then after that, bro, I'm turning it down, and I'm just gonna run it exhibitions. I'm just gonna put it away, mission complete, and just keep it there. Do you know what I mean? I don't need to run it too spicy. That's where I'm at right now, bro. I'm hurting. This car has cost me. It's like literally it's supercar money. Like, you know what I mean? It's supercar money in months. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I want to see it. I want to see it do the numbers. And I just kind of want to complete that chapter, not to take the car off the channel or anything, because that car is my baby. And I think a lot of people watch the channel to see that car, especially with the way I drive it. Because when I'm driving it, bro, I'm driving it angry. I'm pulling that sequential like my life depends on it. Like, you know what I mean? And I just feel like that car represents everything that makes or gives me my buzz from cars. You know what I mean? That's my addiction right there, like bottled. Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's the one that will always be there. I'll never get rid of it.
It's funny because one of the biggest things that I guess a lot of people gravitate towards with your content is when you're driving a car and how intense it is, a lot of the shifting.
Crazy, bro.
So that sequential definitely plays a big part in your channel.
It does. Sure. It does, bro. And you know what's crazy? So again, this has been like for the people watching who are coming on this journey with me through motoring, like through the different levels of cars, from starting like at the, let's say 400 brake horsepower cars, all the way up to whatever we might be at now or experiencing this. It's been a journey for me too, because I haven't always been around those kind of cars. I'm learning on camera, like, you know what I mean? And I remember the first time I ever drove a car with a sequential gearbox, I was like, what is this? I was like, bro, this is crazy. The ignition cut between gears. Yeah. It feels like you're pulling like a lever in a factory, bro. Like it's mechanical. Like, do you know what I'm saying, bro? Like, and if you're a petrol head and you like rowing gears, but then you got a sequential, it's almost like you still got involvement, but it's faster. Like, you know what I mean? You're quicker with it and it's more dramatic. And again, arguably, you can still get load cell, dog box, H pattern cars, like, you know, which you're actually going to be H pattern. Something about just yanking back on that lever, bro. It just gets me excited. And when I first drove it, the first car I drove was an R33 GTR. It's like 1,000 horsepower. Like, never driven a sequential in my life.
Was the silver one?
The silver one. Yeah. Guy came down. It was crazy because
that video actually, I think that's one of the first videos I saw on your channel. I believe it was that one.
It was a big moment. It was like, because as I say, people are learning with me. The amount of people who didn't really know about, like, again, like you attract people who are kind of, or people are attracted perhaps to me at the time when they subscribe because of my mindset and my knowledge levels, right? And they gravitate towards it because it's the same as them. So a lot of them didn't know about sequentials either. So the first time they see me in this car doing that, they're like, what? Like, you know what I mean? It's now bucket list for like everyone who's been watching that. But yeah, the 33 was definitely was a milestone in the channel for like, okay, so this is what people are doing. And this is what's available. And it changed everything. And shout out to the guy who brought his car down, because it was a last minute feature. And sometimes these are the best. It wasn't planned. It was someone else pulled out, and it was probably like a 500 horsepower car. I can't even remember. And I think I put something out on my Instagram. Has anyone got a car they want featured? And someone messaged me. He was like, yeah, my friend's got this car with a sequential gearbox. I didn't even know what sequential was. So he's pulled up and I'm looking in and I'm like, right, that's a it's a big gear lever. Like I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I learned on the job, like, you know what I mean? And it was a magical moment. And after that, it's like everything has got to be sequential, and I don't know, the passion comes out with the sequential.
And so did he give you a crash course on it real quick? Tell you what to do?
Real quick though, is like, so basically with sequential, and this mostly, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about like your normal street car, or even if it's a drag car for the most part. When you're driving it slowly, you use the clutch, right? So it's basically you shift sequentially, meaning you can only go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can't jump a gear, and then it's back down. So sequentially up or down the gearbox. When you're downshifting, use the clutch generally every time. Sequential gearboxes can downshift without a clutch. It's not good for them. But generally, or not generally, but when you're on full load shifts, if you have a load cell on the shifter, meaning basically it senses when you're about to grab a next gear. A strain gauge. Yeah. What it does is it momentarily cuts the ignition so it doesn't ignite the fuel going into the cylinder, and it takes just enough strain off the drivetrain to allow you to pull the next gear.
Right.
So you don't need to touch the clutch. You basically keep it pinned and just pull that lever the whole time. And usually you can tell if the shifts are set up real crispy when you get that loud snap between gears, the ignition cut. Like, you know what I mean? That's when you know it's done right. And again, it adds to the drama. Like, you know what I mean? You're pulling it. It's almost like letting off a shot on a cannon. Like, you know what I mean? Like I don't know, like being in a tank or something. Bam, bam, bam. That's how it feels to me, bro. So yeah, man, that's basically it. Yeah.
So now between H pattern and sequential, do you feel like all cars should have a sequential in it, or there's some cars where you feel like H pattern should be like is a part of that car character wise? The
good thing about sequential in a race environment is you cannot money shift it. Do you know what I mean? You can't do a 1-2-1. When you do a 1-2-1, bro, you're lucky if you don't blow up your engine, but you're probably going to blow up your gearbox. Yeah. Sometimes both. So it can be very expensive.
Right.
With a sequential, you can't do that. So again, that's going to alleviate that. The only difference, in my opinion, right, because shift speed is the same. If you've got a load cell on that H pattern dog box, shift speed is pretty much exactly the same. All you have to do though is that second to third shift, which is the hard shift.
That's the hard,
because first to second's back.
Right.
Fourth to fifth's back. All it is that third to fourth.
Right.
But that's where it can go wrong. Like, you know what I mean? Or, it can go wrong, basically. You can pull a wrong gear. But realistically, you are still rowing gears. Like, you know what I mean? So I kind of understand it. I would say if you're a race car and you're trying to chase times and you're in danger of money shifting, go sequential. But I know cars have got lockouts too, so you can't money shift. So I guess if you want to row gears, H pattern, and you kind of want to be as fast or nearly as fast as a sequential, because there might be something in it, but it's minute, bro. It's hundredths, if that, maybe thousandths.
Yeah.
Then go for the H pattern. They're going to give a different driving experience. Maybe if you got a road car, go for the H pattern, because then you're going to you're going to be able to row gears. Like, you know what I mean? It's going to give a bit more, I don't know, fear to driving down the road. But if you're trying to go fast in a straight line, sequential all day.
You feel like the sequential on the street is like kind of annoying to have to go through gears back and forth.
It isn't an aim. Like, you know, like if you've got a car that's a sequential, you're probably not going to be daily in it. So when you're going out for spirited drives, it's just part and parcel of the drive.
Right,
like, you know what I mean? It just adds to the drama. But again, if you want to go to like from a 4 to 2, you can't do that. You just got to go down, down, down. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's just as quick, kind of.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
You know?
Have you ever tried the paddles or air shifted?
Yeah.
Sequential?
So I have. Yep. Again, this is where it starts to become, all right, now you're driving a DCT car. Like, do you know what I mean? Because there's nothing in it. And also what you can do with, in fact, you don't even need paddles to do this. You can do this with sequentials. You can get air shift that is RPM based. And with the right ECU, you can get it to change gear for you.
Right.
So you can have a sequential gearbox that changes gear at 8,000 RPM, hits the shifts perfect every time. Yeah. Is it manual then? No. It's a robotized manual, I guess.
Yeah.
Because you're commanding it. It's still got a clutch and everything like that. But it's not a manual. So there's a fine line and some gray areas.
Right.
But yes, a sequential with paddle shift, again, is savage, bro. I was driving one the other day and in front wheel drive too. It was it was a Renault Clio. Now, I don't think you get those over in the States, right? Renault, another French car, another piece of crap pretty much. But this one had a K20 engine in it.
Really?
With a Quattro 7-speed sequential gearbox. I think it was 7. It might have been a 6-speed sequential gearbox. But yeah, it was paddle shift and it was hydraulic shift. So it wasn't even air shift. It was hydraulic, like an F1 car. So ultra quick. So it's basically done on like a hydraulic pressure and all this kind of stuff. It's crazy. But again, although you're in a race car or a bit of a race car, it does start to take away from the feel of driving, like properly driving. Right. At least with a stick here, you're pulling something.
Yeah.
But then arguably, a lot of people now are doing ZF swaps, not into Hondas, but into other cars. Seen them in 2Js, RBs, like, you know,
I just saw one this weekend, yeah.
And they're cool, bro. Like, and again, you can get a shifter that pops out like a sequential shifter. So you're actually still yanking on a stick, and it's like, it's almost like a computer game version of a sequential that kind of gives all the same feel, which is a quick box too. And we all know how well they can do with the right build. So yeah, man, I guess it comes down to preference and what's right for the purpose of the car.
100%.
Do you know what I mean? But for me, as I say, maybe biasly, after that first experience, pulling that, bro, this car was wild, man. It was like one of the fastest cars I've ever driven. You know what an RB sounds like. You're an RB man yourself too, right?
Yeah,
and I'm an RB man over a 2J too. Like, it's just for me. The sound and something about it. So having that power mixed with that gearbox, I can't remember if it was a PPG or what it was, or a Hollinger. I think it was a Hollinger, but it was insane. And that just left a lasting impression that I had to repeat in my own cars.
It's funny because you just said you're an RB guy too, but it seemed like when I went to Australia, it seemed like the 2J Supra wasn't really like that popular. I'm not sure if it's like a US thing that the 2J is glorified, but what is it like in the UK when it comes to the RB versus 2J kind of situation?
So interestingly, I'm not too deep into the 2Js in the UK. I do know the 2Js do make more power in the UK. They've pushed them further. How much further, I'm not too sure, but I'm pretty sure we have had a couple of 2,000 horsepower plus ones.
Oh, nice.
In the UK, RBs, I'll be real with you, right now at least, I don't think there's anyone making more than about 1,200 horsepower, so at the wheels.
Yeah, I noticed that on your channel, there's a lot of 1,200 horsepower stuff, but nothing really too, which I wonder why, because it's not like they don't have the money to do it.
No, it's insane actually. And shout out to a guy who's come on my channel quite a few times, super humble guy. His name's Ibrahim. You seen him? You seen him?
Yeah.
He was on CarWow too and things like that. So I don't want to say too much right now because it is a bit of a top secret build. Like, it's not top secret, but the final specs ain't out there. Right. But this car is going to be right up there. Australian spec kind of crazy build. Really? As far as I'm aware. I might be getting this wrong, but from what I remember him telling me, it's going to be up there. He's got the budget to do that kind of stuff. Like, you know what I mean? And also shout out to Andrew Hawkins, because he's another guy
Andrew.
He's a great, you know, if you know Andrew, you know Andrew. Like, and he's a great guy too. And he's the king of the GTRs. And, you know, he comes to the UK and he's like, this is cool, but come on, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's just so far ahead. But that's not to say that, you know, the RBs still ain't putting in the work, like, you know what I mean? And RBs generally, well, they are in the GTR four-wheel drive. Right. 2J is a rear-wheel drive. We run a lot of non-prep, so you can come with all the power you want in your 2J. If you can't put it down, you're getting gaps. Like, you know, that's just how it goes. But yeah, as you say, in the States, it's a different story. Like, I've actually filmed with Cody Phillips Racing. I'm not sure if you know who that is.
That sounds really familiar.
He's big in the 2J game. He's got a Supra. The cars, just watching them go is a different level. When you see like a really, really big power Supra, I want to say these are around 2,800 horsepower, all the right setup. It's mind blowing. I've never seen an RB go like that. Although I do know that in Australia, they're quite close. They're closing the gap now with the 2J times. I want to say an RB's went into the 5s now, or no?
I think it's been in the 5s, but it was like a pro mod kind of situation. 5 seconds, I think it was Zeus. You're getting there. It's just... Do
you know what? I spoke to someone in the UK and they're a tuner, and it was like, look, as much as like they also love the RB, from a tuning standpoint and working on standpoint, they said the 2J is superior in every way. That's what I heard. Although I'm still an advocate for the RB. Yeah. And again, I don't own an RB car, so I have no reason to be chatting. Like, just for drive and feel. Like, you know what I mean? We love the sound of a 2J too, don't get me wrong. But for me, there's something about the note of an RB. And in fact, my favorite sounding engine of all cars probably is a 1J. So I am like, this is coming from an unbiased standpoint.
That's close. Yeah. That's a second.
Yeah.
RB first. 1J sounds similar to an RB. Like, it's very, very close to an RB. But I like a 1J. 1J sound great.
They sound cool. Yeah.
When it comes to the UK racing scene, or the UK car culture, what is it like over there as opposed to the US? So my first year in the US, it was a big eye-opener, which was 2022 at TX2K. Straight away, you realize how much further you guys have pushed
pretty much all platforms, especially the GTRs, the V10 platforms. We don't get Vipers in the UK, but seeing the Vipers and everything like that, like
there's
running
no
is
Vipers
crazy.
in UK.
You don't get Vipers, never.
Nobody ever imported one of them.
Yeah, they might have imported a couple, but again, they're going to be imported.
Rare.
They're going to be imported and not tuned.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? They're imported just to be imported, like nice cars. The levels. All I can say is it's like you guys have been. It almost seems like you guys have been doing it longer. The infrastructure is here, and it runs through your veins a little bit stronger than it does in the UK, if that makes sense. Also, it seems like you've got a bigger community, which are potentially egging each other on a little bit more to push further.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? You've also got so much more tracks. We've got one track in the UK in terms of proper drag strips. Shout out to Santapod actually, because Santapod is our proper raceway out there.
Okay.
Like, and it's actually world renowned. There'll be Americans that like big like is it NHRA guys?
Yeah, NHRA, yeah.
That will probably know the track. The infrastructure's the same as something like Texas Motorplex. It's big. It's big. But it's our only one. So we only have that, you know. And again, we're a small island, like, you know what I mean? In the grand scheme of things, there's not a lot of us. So we can only push each other so far, like, you know, unless we travel over into Europe. And then again, there's only a couple of tracks in Europe, whereas over in the States, bro, I was blown away. I think it was last year at Texas 2K.
Yeah.
I was filming with Dre, and I remember we were at TX2K at Texas Motorplex, and he's like, yeah, I'm 10 minutes away. Come check me here at this other track. I'm like, what? I went 10 minutes down the road. There was another drag strip, bro. And I had another event. I'm like, what? Like, bro, like, this is just Texas we're talking about. Like, you know what I mean?
XRP, I forgot what the hell the name
Maybe.
was.
I'm not sure.
I forgot. Damn.
You know? But just like the amount of tracks you have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It allows you guys to push. So I saw that. Also, like, and I don't want to take anything away from the UK because I hold the UK very dear. That's where I come from. It's all my knowledge, like, you know what I mean? And, you know, like, it's what I know. But I'll just say we're not on the same level. We ain't on the same level. Like we're catching up in some, or we're catching up that we can battle it out on the same kind of grounds. We probably ain't gonna win, but like we're coming up to a level where we can actually come in a little bit competitive on some things.
Okay.
Maybe X58 platform, B58 platform, kind of getting there. When it comes to V10s, GTRs, we just miles behind. Street racing, bruh, is a different level. Like out here, you street race. In the UK, we mess around. Now, there's people in the UK who probably think they street race. They ain't never been to the States and seen street racing. Like, you know what I mean?
Why do you say that? Is it because of the way that the street racing is done in the UK, or is just because of the cars?
It's in your veins. In the US, street racing is a proper thing. Like, it's almost like a well-organized business, if that makes sense. You guys lock off roads, close down a road, you'll prep the road, you'll have people at the end monitoring it properly. Yeah. At the beginning, you'll have a man who just comes and does the torch. That's what he does best. Like, you know what I mean? That's his talent. Like, you know what I mean? Or however he drops that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, everything is set up. Like, there'll be money on it, big money. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you guys do this, or you'll go to a location way out in the middle of nowhere. You guys will prep it, and you'll be running like 8th mile times that like are mind blowing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people can't even do one like a prep strip. Like, we don't have that in the UK. So what we call street racing is essentially what you guys would probably call a little bit of roll racing. Like, you know, you meet up on the highway,
right, and
you do some pulls on the highway. Even then, when we're doing it, it's disorganized, bro. It's like, and this ain't taking anything away from the guys in the UK that do it, but I'm just letting them know. Like, they probably ain't been to the States and seen how you do it out here. I'm just letting everyone know we don't do it like them. Like, you know what I mean? So what they're pretty much doing is meeting up at a location in a car park.
Okay.
There might be a couple of rivals or whatever, or maybe 3 or 4 people, and like they'll just do a roll race on a third beep and they'll go. And like, do you know what I mean? And that's UK street racing. If there's ever been a race environment where they have locked off a road, prepped the road, put money on it and raced, bro, I've missed it. Because in my opinion, or not in my opinion, in my lifetime, I've never heard of it happen. So that's how far off we are, if that makes sense. You guys do this. We have some fun. Do you know what I mean? That's what it is. And then at the track, our track culture, again, isn't like yours. Like, what I've realized is the amount of fast street cars that really want to push at the track too. In the UK, you either mess around on the streets or you got a drag car and you go to the track. It's only been in the last few years now, we're starting with our fast street cars to really chase times on the track. you know? And there's also, it probably goes this way in America too, but there's a lot of dodging races in the UK. Like no one wants to line up with each other. You know what I mean? Everyone's talking about got the fastest this, got the fastest that. So all right, you know what? I've actually got a track because I rent a runway. I try to get them together. They never want to race. They all talk. There's a lot of talk. You know what I mean?
Yeah, what is a popular platform that people are most likely street racing with out there that you see more?
So you're going to see the X58 platform, B58s, S58s. Yeah. Yeah, it's mostly going to be that kind of stuff. The Dazzers, you know, you get the RS3s, the TTRSs, they'll probably be out there. The Porsches are active in the UK. They're the cars to beat. No matter what anyone tells you, bro, I see everything. Like, you know what I mean? I'm lucky enough to be in a position where, you know what I mean? I am part of the racing culture in the UK. I see everything. The Porsche is the car to beat on the street. If anyone tells you different, it's because they're upset that they got beat by a Porsche or they want a Porsche, but they can't afford a Porsche.
No GTRs?
You know? So the GTRs, honorable shout out to the GTRs. On the track, you can't beat them. You can't beat them with the right prep, but they got to be on slicks or the big Mickey Thompsons or whatever with prep to go fast. On the street, to tell the truth, on a street tire, like half of them have to turn it down to a point where they can, do you know what I mean? Like they're traction limited.
Right.
So they can only really put down, I don't know, maybe 1500 wheel is going to be the absolute most. And even then you're going to be changing, you know how they drive.
Right.
You're going to be fighting it. Whereas a Porsche, like I was saying, while you're fighting, bro, that Porsche is straight as an arrow and it's gone. And very, very, very rarely will you see a 1500 horsepower GTR on the road. But the Porsches are active. Yeah, it's mad. It's mad. Only car that's coming close right now would probably be some B58s.
Okay.
Some S58s. They're getting close. They're getting very close. But I would still say, in abundance, the Porsches are the street kings out there. And it's the ES Porsches too.
So do you think a lot of the BMWs being, you know, in the streets has any like influence from the culture over here as far as the BMW racing in the streets here?
Most certainly. Most certainly. Again, what I feel like a lot of our car culture is, especially when platforms are kind of used out here quite frequently, is a bit of a trickle down. So if you're doing it, we're probably going to see it 6 months later and try and chase. So a lot of what you guys are doing out here is inspiring what we're doing in the UK, if that makes sense. And big up to RIP, rest in peace, One Stock. He was, I think he had quite an effect on a lot of people in the UK. Worldwide, yeah.
Worldwide. Yeah. Did he inspire you to get your M240 or because it was a similar color?
I wouldn't have a M240i without Dre. So interestingly, when I came over to the States in 2022, I think it was the first time I came over, and I see what you guys are doing with the Supras, the Mark 5 Supras. Bro, I see them popping wheelies off the line. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, that was mind-blowing, right? Yeah. I think I'd only seen a few in the UK, let alone popping wheelies, like running low eights at that time or whatever they were doing. So I've seen this and I'm like, no one's doing this in the UK. Let me jump on. Let me do this, get ahead of the curve. Mm-hmm. I know they're doing it in the States, so it could be good. And let me jump on it. So I went home and I bought a Mark 5 Supra. And the build wasn't brilliant. And my audience didn't really gravitate towards it, unfortunately. But I think it was also some of my energy towards the car. I didn't really mesh with it. Mm-hmm. I didn't know if I really liked it. So anyway, it didn't really go too well. But also this is where I found out how toxic it felt like the B58 or the S58 or the BMW community actually was. And again, I stay out of politics. I'm very busy and I'm lucky enough to have many different platforms or cars, many builds that I can just jump in and out of because I'm building loads of different cars, right? But I felt with that one in particular, around the B58, it's very toxic. So on top of the car not performing well for the channel, the build not going to plan, and the toxicity, I was like, I don't need it. I sold the car. Never am I getting another BMW on this platform. Or, I know it's not BMW, but B58 or whatever. Yeah. So I was done with it. Went on about my way. Anyway, 2024, I was at a TX2K. And these times, One Stock he's known. Like, he's very well known. He's making noise on the street. We know one. Like, what he's doing, man. Honestly, it kills me. Honestly, kills me. But he was doing what I'd never met him before. But I see him, and like, I'm not too shy to go up to people who I admire, like, you know what I mean? And just shake their hand and just say, yo, like, I see what you're doing, like, good to meet you. And the perspective that I used to get of Dre was, you know, from what I was seeing, it wasn't that positive from my perspective, just watching his videos. And again, I didn't watch everything he'd done, but when I would see a little clip, it would usually be taunting someone or something like with the money on the bonnet or whatever.
Yeah.
So I didn't know how he was going to be. I just wanted to just say, yo, I see what you're doing. Like, you know what I mean? I like what you're doing. Bro, he was the nicest person I've ever met.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he was.
I didn't expect it. I didn't expect him to be so warm, so full of joy, like so full of like he's the party. Like when he's there, the vibes are there. Like that's how it felt, right? And I was like, I didn't know this guy was cool. Like, you know what I mean? And like, I was sick. And instantly, I don't know who said it, if it was him, if it was me, or if it was like both of us thought it. It's like, we got to get a feature on this car, like, you know? So he was like, hell yeah. So we filmed the initial bit at TX2K when we had the talk. And he was competing that year. I want to say he might have been out at this point, or he might have still been in. I'm not sure. I think he's running like low weights.
This is 2 years ago, right?
This was last year.
Oh, last year. Okay, yeah,
last year, March.
Yep.
So I can't remember what was happening. But anyway, he was like, yeah, let's do it. So funnily enough, going back to it, remember I said he called me, he's like, he was at the other track. Mm-hmm. So after we had done our filming at TX2K, he went and done his thing. I think he was testing or doing something at the other track. He's like, come meet me at the other track. We'll do the feature from there. So yeah, man, we done a feature. There was no seat in his car. There's no passenger seat. So I'm sitting on the floor, like, you know what I mean? But I'm like, bro, how am I going to drive this? He's like, bro, I want you to drive this. And I'm like, what? You want me to drive this? And you won't even sit in it. He's like, bro, you're going to be all right. Like, it was crazy because like he just trusted me.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? With such a crazy car. And of course, I've driven some wild cars. But the fact that he just threw me, first time we've like met, like we've probably been speaking 2 days at this point or whatever. Threw me the keys, drive it, man. And it's full power. I want you to feel full power. He's saying all this. So I'm like, okay, like, that's mad. You could tell me what power this car was running, right? But I would never expect it to move the way it moves. I thought I drove fast cars at that point.
Yeah.
I put my foot down in this car and bro, I did not know BMWs could move like that. Honestly, like anyone wants to go back and watch that video, my expressions, bro, it was scary fast. The only thing that I could like assimilate it to at the time was like one of these really high power Porsches or a big power GTR. Yeah. And it felt like that. And I'm like, he's doing this in a 240. And I guarantee it didn't cost nothing like what the GTRs cost to build or the Porsches. I'm like, this is crazy. So I've done a few pulls in it. Bro, the car's moving around. I'm trying to drive it. Obviously, steering wheel on the wrong side of the road. I'm just, and also it started, believe it or not, it started drizzling.
Yeah.
And I've looked at one stop just before we got there. I said, bro, it's going to be all right. Like, hey, I'll be all right, man. I'm like, bro, what the hell? So I drove it. It was a bit sketchy, but I tell you what, that left like another milestone moment where it's left an impression in me now, making me forget about all the stress I had with my last B50. And I was like, I got to do this. And again, no one really doing it in the UK right now. So he's like, bro, listen, believe me. And again, part of this was actually caught on camera, but this is the conversations that were going on off camera too after, was buy one, I'm gonna help you build it. Him and Merrick and Powerhouse, we're gonna make you Europe's or UK's fastest M240i. We're gonna do it, bro. I'm gonna tell you everything you need to do it. And yeah, man, it was after that, flew back to the UK, connection was made. We kept in contact. Shout out to Chris from Osprey Performance. He came on board as the builder. You know, he was here with us, FL2K. He's just flown home today. And we all jumped on board and the build begun. And interestingly, it's quite interesting because, you know, this car started as a build alongside one stock, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. But now it almost feels like it's a build for him. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's in his name.
Right.
And interestingly, when I drove his car, he had a black one.
Yeah.
Which he crashed at the track, right? Mm-hmm. And then he got the purple one. So some people think I got the purple one after him, but I had the purple one first. Then he crashed his black one. He got a purple one.
Oh,
so we both had purple. Okay. Yeah. Not trying to say I had it first. I'm just that's kind of like the timeline. And I was out in SEMA, and I just remember like waking up early in Las Vegas.
You were at SEMA?
I was at SEMA. Yeah, were you there?
Oh, yeah.
You there?
Last year, yeah.
I dipped in and out. SEMA's not really my thing, man.
Okay,
I dipped in, looked at the builds, done about a day and a half there, and I was out, bro. There weren't no action, so I was out. But I just remember one morning, it felt like the night. I woke up, I couldn't sleep, and I don't know why I couldn't sleep. And I'm one of those people who, like, when I'm waking up in the middle of the night and I feel like it could be getting close to the time I need to wake up, but I still want to sleep, I don't want to look at my phone. Just in case it says I've got 12 minutes still, I need to wake up. Because you fall back asleep, sometimes you don't know, you might have slept an hour, you know what I mean? I like just to not look at my phone. So anyway, I'm tossing and turning for so long, and I'm like, let me just look at my phone and see what time it is. And I've looked at my phone, and my phone's always on silent. And bro, I got like 50 messages. I'm like, what? And the first message I see says, I'm so sorry for your loss. And I'm like, for my loss? And I'm thinking, I've lost someone in my family or something like this. But why is all these random people messaging me? I was so confused. And then I had one of the other messages was a video, and it was one stock. And I just couldn't believe it. I was still now it's baffling. I was like, I was speaking to him like a couple of days ago, and we just built this friendship, and now he's gone in something that's like, it's so crazy because it's weird because I know he loved to do what he was doing when he died. You never want to lose someone, especially someone that you had grown to like and you know who they are.
Right.
You know how much of a nice guy they are. Yeah. So that really threw a spanner in the works. I don't know, man. It's hard because when I speak about him, I don't speak like I was his best friend. Mm-hmm. And I'm never trying to say that. But I could call him kind of a new friend. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? We weren't best friends, and I'm not trying to clout chase of saying I knew everything about him. But within the scene, within the cult, he was a new friend. He was helping me. So to see such a bright person with such potential, we already knew in his short life, like, you know, how many people he touched or inspired, to see that go overnight, it was crazy. It was crazy. So yeah, my BMW now is, I guess, and it's added a pressure to it to try and do it for him, right? Or in the name of him. And we're getting there. We're not right yet. We've had some issues. You know, I blew up an engine, believe it or not. Lifted the head at the end of the track, and we're on a new build now. And we were going to try and fly our 240 out to FL2K, but due to a few things, it didn't happen. But it will be going out to the States next year. And hopefully, man, hopefully we're gonna be out here rubbing shoulders with the big boys, within the category. And as I say, hopefully do the community, the UK, and Dre proud.
A lot has changed since he has passed in terms of. Just the community in general, the inspiration in terms of who's buying these cars now and what they're doing with them. But like, when he was around, he inspired a ton of people to get into that platform. And even racing too. Like a lot has declined since that. It's tough.
No, it's very tough. And going back to it, like you saying, like he was inspiring the racers too. What was really cool is to see the crossover, because he predominantly raced on the street, right? But then I think he was getting calls, people saying he can't race on the track, his car's not fast on the track. So he brought his car to the track and just shut everyone up. And maybe opened an avenue for people who wanted to get off the street that, you know, running on the track was quite cool too. But yeah, as you say, man, he inspired a lot of people. And I think he made enough of an impact to leave a lasting memory and a lasting impact on the car culture. You know?
Right. You know, it's crazy you said that too. Like, it's funny when you get big enough in anything you do, pretty much. Well, let's say at least in the car world, and you're street racing, the only way really out of that is to continue to do things like that, like go to the track. Yeah. Because once you get more eyes on you in terms of like sponsorships and so on, a lot of these companies are not going to want you to be street racing.
No, of course.
So if you get to that level where, let's say, you know, he was at that level already. Like he's worked with a ton of sponsors and so on, and they were still even sponsoring him knowing that he was street racing. But when you get out of the streets and you go to the track, that's kind of like your way out, you know, because technically if you have a big sponsor that's sponsoring your build and they tell you, look, we don't want you street racing, that's your way out.
100%. And again, like, don't get me wrong, street racing, it's within the culture. Whether it's what we do in the UK or what you guys do here in the States, that's what we call real grassroots, because you can't really get a love for racing if you don't have a few tear-ups on the road. Like, you know what I mean? How do you know you like it? That's where it starts, right?
That's where it starts.
But realistically, the safe way forward, especially with the cars, bro, now like 1,500 horsepower cars on the road, and you don't need a separate license to try and be able to drive that car? Yeah. You can just hop in it if you've got the budget.
Nowadays,
people, do you know what I mean? Like, people out here with crazy horsepower cars and no talent. Like, take it to a track. Not the worst that's going to happen. Probably the worst that's going to happen. You're going to hit the wall. You know what I mean? You might write your car off. But you're not going to kill someone. You probably won't die if you've got the right safety equipment. Right. Probably. And it's just it's a safer environment. And your car's going to go faster too. Like, you know what I mean? But again, a lot of people see it as inaccessible because you might have to pay a little fee to sign on to race at the track. You know, it's not on your time. You've got to go when the track opens, when it closes. There's rules, there's regs. to a certain extent. So it is hard, but again, from a marketing standpoint, yeah, man. I mean, that's where you're going to get the sponsors. They don't want to sponsor you when you're going and crashing into someone else and potentially risking life.
Liability.
You know what I mean? So on the track is where it's at, really. Or on something like I do, it's a bit of a kind of a best of both, which is non-prep on the runway. Yeah. You know, you run your street tires. Your car will run as it runs on the street. You know, no prep. Run your car. Like whatever it is off the street is probably going to be better. But I got to appreciate the culture. I got to appreciate we all been there. And this is how it started. So yeah, it's a tough one.
I wish we had more like airstrips, like how you guys have over there.
Sure.
There are some in Florida, but I don't see them being used too often. I guess for like the bigger events. Yeah. But it'd be cool to do something like at an airstrip like that, because you have all the space on the sides just in case something happens.
100%. Like, you know, on my runway. So luckily we barely have people go off or crash, right? But we had one car go off. It was a Supra, a big power Supra. Actually, it's like 1,500 horsepower. Or maybe 1,200 horsepower, but he runs 1,500 on kill. And he's went off the track and he's skidded. And all that happened is it skidded for a long time, and then the wheels dug into the grass. Yeah. And the car nearly went over, but then it come back down. That's as good, that's all as bad as it's got, should we say. And again, there's nothing to hit. You know what I mean? So you're lucky if the car rolls. Sorry, you're unlucky if the car rolls. But apart from that, you know, it's a lot safer. But what I do want to do, one thing I massively have in my head to do is to come over here and do some of my style racing over here. I want to do the OG Battles Florida or the OG Battles US. Get some of you boys like running no prep, running down an airfield. If we can find one to do it, I'll even do it at Drag Street. I don't mind. I just want to bring that. I just want to mix the two cultures over, you know?
Right. That'd be cool.
Put some more kind of a spotlight to what goes on over here and your level of builds back to the UK. And likewise, crossover. You know what I mean?
Right. That's what I'm trying to do. That'd be sick.
Yeah, man.
There was another story early on when you had bought an Audi Quattro.
Quattro. Quattro. Yeah.
So you bought this Audi, and what ended up happening with that?
So interestingly, this is actually before I bought my first diesel BMW, which we touched on right at the beginning. So in the UK, we've got a place called Car Giant, and it kind of is what it says in the name. It's like a massive forecourt that sells hundreds of cars, and my kind of my draw to Car Giant was
what is it?
Like what do you mean?
What is it called?
Car Giant, like as in like a giant, like
giant.
Giant. Sorry, it's the English accent. Car Giant. It's probably my terrible English too, like, you know, my slang.
Car Giant. Okay.
But yeah, so my draw to Car Giant was the fact that you could go there in the morning, pick a car, and drive away with it in the afternoon without having any money, pretty much. All you needed was like a £200 deposit, and you can finance your life away, pretty much. But they can get that finance deal like over the line in a number of hours. Like they can make things move really quick.
Wow.
So almost zero deposit, and then you can have as much as you can afford monthly to pay. Like, you know what I mean? And I loved how quick you could do it. Like, I'm very impulsive, you see. So if I went somewhere and I had to wait a week to get it, I might change my mind. If I can buy it that day, let's go. Like, you know what I mean? So that was my affiliation with Car Giant. But there's always stories about Car Giant of not having the best reputation for the cars being in the best conditions or things being checked over properly.
Okay.
So anyway, I saw this Audi A5 2-litre TDI Quattro that I fell in love with. And again, it was a diesel. And this is on a down moment where I want to get out the car scene because I'm hurting. And it's just like the perfect all-round car. And it was quite funny because I'm driving this car, and I remember driving it in the snow, and I remember having that Quattro badge on my car, and I'm like, I've got the Quattro. And it's so crazy, bro, because in the snow, this car was moving well through the snow, and I'm like, the Quattro, baby. Like, I remember I even on my private account, I even done a post. I was like, snow 0, Quattro 1, yeah? And this will make sense. It will make sense why you're laughing in a second, yeah? And I remember I was at the lights once. I raced one guy, and I went off the lights, and he was like, yeah, man, you beat me. He goes, your front wheels are spinning like mad. It's crazy. And I was like, yeah, okay, that's just how it must go. Like, you know what I mean? And going back to it, obviously being a mechanic, diesel mechanic, I thought one day, let me service the car, let me drop the oil out or check over underneath the car. I can't remember what I was doing. It was years ago. So I pulled this car over the pits. And I'm looking around and I'm like, don't four-wheel drive cars usually have something that connects the front of the car to the back of the car? Like, you know what I mean? Some way of transferring the drive from the front to the back. And I couldn't find it, bro. And I was like, maybe it's hidden up above the exhaust pipe or something like, bro, it transpired this car didn't have 4-wheel drive, bro. It was not a Quattro. But you know what's crazy, right? So I've went home and I've looked at the logbook. Now it's got the Quattro badges on it, right? I've looked at the logbook. And I'm not sure the title, you might call it out here.
Title, yeah.
So the official papers of the car. On the official papers, it says 2-litre TDI Quattro. So I'm like, what has happened here? Like, they've sold me something that they thought was a Quattro. But essentially, I've been sold something. What do you call that? It's false advertisement, right? To a certain extent. It's got to be classed as false advertisement. But by this time, I think I'd put like 4,000 miles on the clock. Like, I've been driving the car around like a long time before I'd found it out. So here's me thinking, I'm impulsive. Here's me thinking, all right, what I could probably do is I could bring this car back, they give me all the money back, and I'll buy something else cool, like, you know. Yeah. So I went back there. They took the car in, they inspected it, and said, you know what, you're right. Don't know how this has happened, but as you say, it says it on the logbook, it says it on the title. So how are we to know? Like, you know, it's just got missed. So I was like, all right, cool. Just give me my money back and we're fine. They was like, you've done 4,000 miles in this car. It's not worth what you paid. Or we can't give you all the money back, kind of thing. So they went away. They said, let's see what we can do. They come back and they said, the best we can do is give you £500 to cover the difference. I was like, what? £500? And they're like, yeah, the difference between a Quattro and a front wheel drive is only £500. It's probably like $750. And I was like, Then I was like, you know, beggars can't be choosers. I got the car already. I'm pretty happy with it. So I spent that money on getting the car remapped and that was it. But a year later now, I've went back to Car Giant because I've seen something I like. I've rocked up and I've wanted to do a Part X. He said, what you got to Part X? I said, I've got this shiny 2-litre TDI Quattro here you might want to buy. And they're like, okay, cool. And you know what? They took it back off me thinking it was a Quattro. So I made the Quattro money back in the end. So someone right now is probably driving that car around. You know, if you're not a mechanic and you never went under the car, you probably never find out, like, you know. Yeah. Someone probably driving that car around right now, not even knowing that it's not a Quattro.
They even know or care about it.
They probably don't even care.
They don't even know what Quattro probably is.
You know what I mean? So yeah, it was a kind of a, full circle moment there.
That's
so,
great.
Yeah, crazy.
That's funny. Damn. So you've had after that, I'm probably sure you've always checked under the car to make sure you.
Bro, do you know what? I think my knowledge. You know, you live and learn. You live and learn. When people are telling you your front wheels are spinning when you're pulling off the line and things like that, like you kind of live and learn. And also now, you know, I know what a 4-wheel drive car should be doing off the line. But yeah, no, it was definitely a learning curve. You know what I mean?
So from those days, you know, you went from those those horror stories of cars to now picking up a McLaren, right?
Recently? Got a McLaren, yeah.
So now McLarens are, I'm not sure if they're still known for having, you know, electrical problems, all these issues. But hearing all this stuff about these cars, right? Is that something that you thought about prior to purchasing, or was it more of a flex thing where it's like, you know what, I want a McLaren. This is the car I want. I don't care about what the problems are. I just want to own a McLaren. I
think it was a bit of both. I'm very hard-headed also. So if I might ask people's opinion on the car, but I'm getting it anyway. It's like, I kind of I might, regardless of what you think, I'm getting the car. Yeah. So I went into it knowing, obviously it's a British brand, right? So we have quite a lot of them over here in the UK, and I know the horror stories. I know everything that can go wrong and does generally go wrong with the cars. But for me, it was like, and also this is the interesting thing is, it's not only the problem, it's the build quality that people talk about too, the fit and finish at least.
Right.
And this is coming off the back of owning 2 911 Turbo S's, or a 911 Turbo S and then another 911 Turbo S, and then moving on to the McLaren. And Porsche refinement and build quality is second to none, in my opinion. I would honestly go as far as saying that like Porsche make the best fit and finish and all-round cars out there, personally. So I'd say. And then in my head, I'm thinking, all right, now I'm going to move into this uncharted territory that I could possibly have a car that, you know, goes wrong and so on and so forth. I knew it was there, but I was quite hard-headed, but at the same time, couldn't buy another Porsche because I had done it twice over and I wanted to do something else and just wanted to change. And a 600 LT was something that I hadn't seen a lot of people tuning in the UK at least. So I thought, you know what? I've got, hopefully, if things go wrong, I've got a support structure around me that can, you know, make things right.
Right.
Let me just go for it. Hard-headed, like, you know what I mean? And, you know, I've had the car, I want to say about 6 months. And up until about 4 months ago, no problems at all. What's everyone crying about? Like, you know what I mean? And the fit and finish is pretty good, but you got to know what you're buying. Like, if you go into it thinking you're going to get Porsche refinement and quality, it's not that. You're pretty much buying like a bit of a track car, a bit of a race car.
Right.
And they're built for a purpose. They haven't got all the bells and the whistles, but they're very race car. They come alive on the track. Like, you know what I mean? You feel like you're in a supercar. Like,
okay.
But yeah, I mean, I had the car drop back to me because it was getting some like updates done to it. And when it was dropped back to me, I went to open the passenger door, and the passenger door didn't open. So I was like, unlock the car to the person that was in the car. And they're like, it's unlocked. And it just wouldn't open. I was like, what the hell's going on? So I've kind of went in the car. They tried to lean across, open it. And the car's not opening from... did the car open from the inside? I think it opened from the inside. I can't remember. But basically, the button on the outside wasn't working. So that's a bit strange. But anyway, I'll have it looked at. Anyway, so I've hopped in the car and I've went to reverse it. And my drive's quite steep. Okay. So I have to use the lift to get it up. Otherwise, it bottoms out. So I've went to press the lift. But the dash isn't working. Like the dash is like not frozen, but no commands are working on it. So this is very strange. And then I've went to turn the AC on. The AC's not working, bro. And then it just got deeper and deeper. Like it was like nothing was working on this car. So I'm so annoyed. I'm like, here we go. McLaren problems. How much is this going to cost? So anyway, I brought it to ES Motor, the guys who basically built my Porsche. They've got some knowledge with McLarens too. And they took the battery off for half an hour, put it back on, car's back running perfect, absolutely fine. So that's pretty much the only problem I had, but it come out of nowhere and went away just like that. So
what made you want to choose the McLaren, that specific model over something else?
So again, it was what will people jump on board with?
Okay.
If I get a Lamborghini, everyone's going to think I'm an idiot. Everyone's going to think I'm flossing, I'm trying to be someone special, this, that, the other. But also, I must say, based on my personal preference too, what I like, you know what I mean? Also, going back to Lamborghinis, if I'm buying a Lamborghini, you know I've got to tune it, right? That means I've got to twin turbo it. That means I've got to chase big power. To be someone, to make headlines in the V10 game, how much power do I have to make? Like, you know what I mean? I don't want to spend that kind of money. Yeah. Like we know, like these guys out here spending $500,000 like trying to get these cars fast. So essentially, all right, cool. I might get 1,800 horsepower V10. All right, cool. But it's in the grand scheme of things, you're no one at that power. Like it's a cool car, fast car. But you're not one of the big dogs. Like you know what I mean. So it's thinking about what's going to work for content, what I like, what people are going to gravitate towards. So, but Lambo was on the list of maybes. Like then there was Ferrari. I was looking at the Ferrari 488 Italia. Because again, not a lot of people tune those. And of course the 600 LT. And I actually made a little bit of a series where I was like picking a car and I went to test drive each one, and just kind of give the pros and cons and my feedback and the feel on the cars. And I've got to say, the McLaren gave me the best feel and feedback. It felt the most supercar-ish. The Ferrari was a little bit soft. The Lamborghini was great. Like I went out in a Hurricane Perf, and it was like, this is hard not to want. You know what I mean?
Nice
that's like, it's like a Gucci product. Like, you know what I mean? That's the one that makes the girls take the panties off. Like, you know what I mean? That's the one you pull up outside the club. Like, you know what I mean? But I got to look at the bigger picture, as I say, and like what's right for me. And I don't think it was the right car. So out of the three, the McLaren made the most sense. And my target was to tune that McLaren to like 1,000 wheel horsepower. This is kind of where my mindset was at.
Right.
And people are probably right now who have kind of been following this journey, which has been a little bit quiet for a while. Are probably thinking, why am I saying was at? And it might even be news to them for me to say that I wanted 1,000 brake horsepower, wheel horsepower, whatever. But the longer I have this car, so it's stage 2 tuned by now. It's stage 2 tuned now. And it's 775 brake horsepower. I think it's like 680-ish at the wheel. Bro, the car's fast. The car is fast. And it's such a capable car. And I wonder, will I ruin it with more power? And then I think back to all these other builds I have, 1,000+ brake horsepower cars that will be able to put the power down to. And I'm like, do I need another potential headache? Like, you know what I mean? It would be cool to say I've got that power. Yeah. But what am I building with a 1,000 wheel horsepower 600 LT? Because it's not a quarter mile car. Could be a half mile car, but it's going to be faster half mile cars. Right. Street car, all it's going to do is spin when I try to put the power down. True. Cars with four-wheel drive, maybe half the power, are going to beat me to the 8th. Right. Easy. So what am I trying to do? Like, I've got all these things going through my head right now, what I really want to do with this car. And again, bro, I'm indecisive as hell. Like my head changes and my mind changes like the weather, like the English weather, which is all the time. I might tell you this now. My next video might be, look at my 1,000 wheel horsepower McLaren. However, right now my mindset is, let me just keep it like how it is for a while. Just mesh with the car, see what it does. It runs pretty strong times too, like for what it is. Let me just see what it does. I might keep it how it is for now.
When you guys say stage 2,
yes,
is that because I noticed
downpipes in the tune?
Okay, because I know obviously you're not. People will question your knowledge based off of that.
Yes.
So I guess it depends on the car technically, because when you're in exotics, you say stages. I guess technically, or no? How does that work? When it comes to
I'm not a
stages?
massive advocate for stages, and I know stages can be interpreted. So is that the right word?
Interpreted, yeah.
Interpreted.
Yeah.
People can interpret them differently. So I think stages work to a certain extent. And what my ideal of stages are, or what I believe stages are, and let's say a Golf R, right? So stage 1 would be no hardware, just a tune, ECU tune, right? Okay. Stage 2 would probably be full bolt-ons, but no turbo chain.
Okay.
See, this way it gets hard. You're right. I'm going to go with what I'm saying. So full bolt-ons, but stock turbo.
Okay.
That would be a stage 2. And then stage 3 would be turbo also with that. That would be classed as stage 3. That's generally kind of within that community. I think I'm right in saying what the stages are.
Okay.
When it comes to different cars, it changes. But generally, I would say anything where you've got to change hardware like the downpipe, you're moving into stage 2 kind of territory.
Okay.
After that, when it goes like, when you start building the engine, stages go out the window because you're now into built engine territory. Like, you know what I mean? Your things change. Like, I don't think that can be staged. Like, there's no stage here. You've just got a built engine and whatever else you got. But with the McLaren, downpipes and a tune. Because I guess with my logic, you could just have stock hardware on a McLaren, stock exhaust and a tune. So the next stage, which would be the stage on, which means stage 2, downpipes and a tune.
So what's the highest stage you would go to technically in your head?
So, oh man, I know, yeah, it's going to open a can of worms, but no, it would be stage 3. I wouldn't go any higher than stage 3, yeah.
Okay.
For clickbait, back in the day, I think I did post someone's car being a stage 4.
Okay.
I might have even went to stage 5, bro. I don't know. Who knows? But no, that's definitely not right. No, stage 3. And within those categories that I've said.
Which is upgraded turbo and pretty much anything.
Yeah. As soon as you're building your engine, stages, in my opinion, go out the window.
Interesting. And so it doesn't have to be exotic. It could be any type of...
Anything generally. I mean, look, if it hasn't, like, for instance, a naturally aspirated car, I don't think stages work because you can't gain the same power in stages like you can off a turbo or a supercharged car kind of thing.
What if you did cams? People, because that's
naturally aspirated?
Stage 1, stage 2 cams.
You could because, you stage 1, stage 2 cams. And again, this is what I mean. It opens a massive can of worms. It's like, where do you go? But within a naturally aspirated world, which I don't have the most amount of knowledge in. I do have a K24 DC200, which is naturally aspirated. But I've never heard people talk about naturally aspirated cars in stages. I think it's kind of it is a modern phenomenon of people talking about cars in stages. Right. And also perhaps a little bit of a uneducated terminology too.
It's crazy because back then stages were big with clutches. So it's like now it's like if you say anything stage related with anything, whether it's clutches, performance, it's like you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You know?
Look, I think there's a right time and place for stages. And I also think sometimes it's easy for people who are deep in the game, like ourselves, like when we go for these big crazy builds, to kind of look down on people who talk about stages because they're not really in this life like we are. Like, you know what I mean? And we're out here going crazy. And stages are like, bro, you're talking some baby food there. Like, you know what I mean? That's light work. And then again, like, it's usually older generation saying that kind of stuff because they're the people with more money or potentially the people who've been in it longer to build these kind of crazy cars. And I don't know, man. I just feel like, stages are a little bit of like I won't go too deep into it, but they have their place. Not always right.
It'd be cool to see a Lambo with 2,000 horsepower. Say they got a
stage 26, bro. But that's the thing, you know, like with something naturally aspirated and then you turbo it. It can't be a stage there.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean, bro? That's just in some applications it works.
So now you do all this content, of course, right? You've been filming for about 6-7-ish years, right? Roughly. So doing content is tough. Of course, you're traveling, you're doing features and so on, right? Yeah. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years with what you're doing?
It's interesting you ask that. And it's actually interesting because just yesterday at dinner, randomly, my friend James, non-car guy, he asked me that question. And I'm like, And I have been asked that question before, but not for a while. And I feel like someone who's kind of got the kind of following that I've got in YouTube and is moving at a good pace should really have a 5-year plan. And I'll be real, I don't. But what I do want to do, and what I always will continue to do, is push on, up the levels, whether it be quality of the content, quality of the production, quality of the builds. It's to continue to push on. Now, within YouTube, I don't know how drastically I can change what I'm doing. I could definitely take quite a left turn and try something different, or right turn and try something different. But we know if you change too much, your OG subscribers, like the content they're used to, it might not like gravitate with them, or they might not like it, and you might actually kind of take a back step trying to do that. So it's always quite hard. So I'm trying to do what I'm doing, but just make it feel fresh moving forward. Where do I want to be? Do I still want to be doing YouTube? I think so. I think YouTube is becoming TV, or what we used to look at as TV. It's taking the place of TV. I only think it's going to get bigger. I don't think it's a bad space to spend a lot of time in as a career. I just think I think it's got a bright future. So I always want to do it. Do I want to work as hard as I am right now in YouTube 5 years from now? Probably not. But I think that's just me trying to work smarter and not harder, and maybe aligning some things a little bit better and just making things work a little bit more smoothly. I've got some businesses. We have Gaston Track, which I'm wearing a t-shirt for right now, which is a big event we do in the UK at Silverstone, which is kind of a celebration of automotive culture, where it brings your drag races together, your circuit races together, your drift races, your show and shine. It's everything. It's literally bringing everyone together in one place. It's action. It's got something for everyone. And we see that really, really growing. We're 2 years deep. Oh, actually, we're more than 2 years deep, but 2 official years deep into it. We've done some smaller ones before. So we've got a really good recipe right now, and we see that growing massively. So within the next 5 years, that would be something that I'd love to see blossom. I'd love to see double, triple the footfall that we get currently. Silverstone's like the home of British motorsport too, so it's the right venue for growth. I'd love to see that grow. And right now, there does seem like there's great potential. So if I could say anything I plan to happen, I want to see that grow. I want to see that 3x if we could. And really push on in that. But bro, I love cars, and I'm always going to be pushing a boundary, doing mad stuff. So within the next 5 years, people can expect more, basically, just more, you know?
So yeah, man, I mean, this has been great. I think we're at 2 hours.
Oh, we have 2 hours? Bro, that is crazy. Because you know what the crazy thing is? I told you, bro, off camera, once you get me going.
But it didn't feel like
it did not. But you know what? I always get this. When you're speaking passionately about things that you love, it's easy to talk, and it's easy to get into conversation because we're interested in this.
That's crazy.
That is absolutely crazy. But I can feel it in my throat though, bro. Because you know what? As I say,
you got to pause it.
Pause.
You know, from New York,
you got me, man. You got me, bro. You have to edit that out. But yeah, man. But as I say, I start fumbling and mumbling. That's how I know I've been going for a while, because I start fumbling and mumbling my words. We had a good conversation, though, bro.
No, this is great, man. I think it's great because I posted that photo on my story, and then some people had commented replying to the story saying, "Oh, that's your twin." No, I guess we're both light skinned.
I got that too, bro.
We're both light skinned dudes wearing a hat.
We all look the same, like Chinese people. We all look the same. We all look the same.
But there's people who say like, "Oh, I love watching both your content." Obviously, I'm a podcast channel, and you do like reviews and car stuff. So it's pretty cool. It's a good and also we're probably people that came from a similar background as well.
100%.
So it's cool to see that we're like-minded individuals doing the same thing.
Do you know what? This is the thing I've realized. Being lucky enough to travel the world and to the States. Yeah. Bro, like we're all the same. Yeah. We're all the same. Like, and especially if you're talking about a passion. We speak exactly the same language. Terminologies might be slightly different, but bro, like when we're talking about the things we hold dearest, man, we are all the same. Like, you know what I mean? So, and that makes it a lot easier. And just going back to it, like, and I'm just so happy that people in the States are with me, are backing me. Like, you know what I mean? Because it's flying 4,500 miles overseas. Sometimes you don't know what people are going to be like, you know what I mean? Like how they receive you, but it's been nothing but love since I've been here. So
No, I'm happy you're here, man. Happy you're here.
Thank you.
So you leave in 2 days, right?
2 days, yeah.
2 days. So you're going to go to Disney? Enjoy Disney?
Listen, I got my business partner here. You
You got to hit Disney if you're in Florida.
We're going Disney. I kind of want to go Disney, but he wants to go Disney, bro. Like, it's crazy. So yeah, we're going Disney tomorrow. We're going to explore that. We've been to Universal. There's only like, we had one like off day in these 2 weeks so far. And we went Universal. So we've done that. We're going to do Disney and we're going to chill.
Yeah, awesome. Well, hopefully you guys enjoy your time there.
Thank you.
Disney is awesome. It's perfect time of around this time of the year because the weather. So you should be all right. You should be okay.
Good.
But even though it was hot at FL2K in Tampa, it was pretty hot that day. I think you might be fine because you said you never experienced this kind of weather, right?
Bro, I've been to the States, yeah? I've felt Texas heat.
Yeah.
I've felt California's heat. I've felt Nevada's heat, right? But there's something about the heat here. It's like, it's thick.
Yeah.
It's humid. I could almost swim through it. You know, when you can cut it.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like, bro. The heat hits me differently. And it's quite funny because people look at me and they're like, oh, you're black. You should be able to take this kind of heat. Bro, I'm black, but I'm from England. Bro, like if we had like a normal day in Florida, in the UK, that's on the news, bro.
Yeah.
People are dying. There's weather warnings. It's wild. Like, so I weren't ready for the heat. The heat's mad. I love everything about this place, but the heat might just be a little bit too mad for me.
Yeah, it is. Sometimes it can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
But you'll be all right, man. You'll be all right.
Nice.
So if you can let the viewers and listeners know where to find your content and where they can keep up with anything you have going on.
Sure. So it's Officially Gassed on all platforms. You'll find me Officially Gassed on Instagram, Officially Gassed OG on YouTube. And I think I said all platforms. I think it's Jamie OG Officially Gassed on TikTok. That's pretty much it.
Awesome. So I will have his content in the link below in the description as well to his channel. So you guys can check out all of his content, everything we spoke about, a lot of the races and so on, and a lot of his builds, which you guys will see more of in the future. Thank you so much for making this happen. Thank you so much for your time and the hospitality of, giving us a place to film.
My pleasure.
Really
man.
appreciate that. So happy you came to Florida and also to America to, once again, be a part of the culture. And hopefully one day I can make it over to UK.
100%. We got you when you come, bro. We got you. And we got a big love for Street Alpha in the UK too, bro. You're doing big things, man.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. So thanks again, man. Appreciate your time. Or if you guys are listening and watching, make sure you guys head over to streetalpha.co to copy merch and also hit that like button and subscribe. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.